Give a second for all this noise to clear up outside my studio. Let me tighten up my tie just a little bit here. Just a little. Still keeping it casual. Welcome to another fucking live. I'm your host, Kellerman, and today we're going to watch Trump participate in a cabinet meeting. Good morning, Black Sheep. My man. Alright, you gotta tell me if there's any sound issues, okay? Sometimes I watch these back and I'm like, why didn't anybody say in the comments that it sounded like shit? You guys gotta let me know. Alright, Trump's participating in a cabinet meeting. This happened about 30 minutes ago.
Domestic auto production.
I skipped too much. I went too far. I want to find the beginning here. We're looking for the beginning.
Military. They went from.
Oh boy, how did I get this far in? Okay. All right. How's everybody doing? I can watch it so you don't have to. Yeah, well, I mean, the idea is that you're probably going to see a bunch of clips from this, you know? You're going to hear about all this, and you're not going to have any context. So hopefully watching it with me encourages you to watch it, and honestly, I'm watching it for the news, and it makes it a lot more fun for me to do it along with you. Okay, here we go. Let's get some audio. Let's get some audio going.
Hello, thank you very much. Are you all set? You all ready? Nice group. Big group. But I want to thank you all for being here as we prepare to celebrate Labor Day, when we honor the incredible hardworking men and women of our country, which is doing very well, I have to tell you. Every policy of the Trump administration is designed to lift up the American worker, promote great-paying blue-collar jobs, and to rebuild the industrial bedrock of our nation. It's also obviously for great defense. We have the greatest military in the world. We rebuilt it largely in my first term. Some of it was stupidly given away to Afghanistan. For what reason? Nobody could figure that one. But it was still a relatively small amount of what, if you compare. The concept of what they did, however, is just incredible. But the country is doing well. We're respected all over the world, like never before, probably.
We're hot.
Went to NATO.
I don't know if you've heard.
They went from 2%
to
5% of GDP. Nobody expected that. And the difference is they didn't pay the 2 and they paid the 5. So, and as you know, we are selling a tremendous amount of
Trina
equipment.
says we're not hot,
NATO.
guys.
We're not spending any money. We're making money.
Tell me in the comments if you think we're hot.
I want to talk about.
We hot right now?
We're no longer
in the United States?
Involved with funding Ukraine, but we are involved with trying to stop the war and the killing in Ukraine. So we're selling missiles and military equipment, millions and millions, and ultimately billions of dollars to the NATO people, where I'm very friendly and we have a great relationship. But that was an amazing trip. So they're funding the entire war. We're not funding anything. I think it's an important point to make, because a lot of people don't understand that.
Someone in the comments is saying that I wouldn't speak critically of Israel.
I
don't speak. I speak as critically of Israel as I do anything else.
They want the American product, the American military.
That's what neutrality means.
Is by far the best in the world, and that's what.
When they do something bad, I report the bad things. I report so many bad Israel things. How could you say that?
The factories are doubling up and tripling up, where they make the Patriots and other. Really, you could say defense and offensive weapons. The wages for blue-collar workers are now rising at the fastest rate in 60 years, which is so important to all of us around this table. The average American worker has already seen a $500 wage increase this year, and there's no inflation, because there's been decreases, tremendous decreases, with thanks to Doug,
it's the Instagram comments. Or actually, I think that might have been on TikTok.
Energy. Thank you very much, and Chris, thank you very much.
It gets wild over there.
I see you down close to $60 a barrel, and you'll be breaking that pretty soon, and that has a huge impact. So we have groceries are down, energy is way down.
My groceries aren't down. Just saying.
$4 and $5.
I ask every time. Tell me in the chat. Are your groceries down?
Gasoline. And now it's.
I feel like I haven't spent less than $100 at the grocery store.
It broke $2 in a couple of locations in the South. In places like California where they charge such high taxes, it's higher, but it's still much lower than what it was a year ago. So energy's way down.
It's not much higher.
Groceries are way down.
Actually,
Eggs are way
is.
down.
It is still
Thank you very
higher.
much, Madam Secretary. You've done a great job. Appreciate it. When we came in, the eggs were through the roof. They were 4 times higher than they've ever been. And my first question from you people, well, what are you going to do with eggs? I said, what's the problem with eggs? That was caused by Biden or whoever was operating the auto pen actually caused it, I guess. Because I don't think
It was actually caused by a bird flu.
Factories are booming compared to before.
It wasn't.
Office,
The egg shortage wasn't caused by anything other than the bird flu.
It's going to be so thrilling in 2 years when you see the numbers, because they're building plants all over the country. They're all coming in because of tariffs. They don't want to build. They don't want to pay the tariffs, and if they build their plant here, they don't pay the tariffs. And they're pouring into our country, and you know about AI and you know about but the auto plants, that's the good old-fashioned stuff that I love. The auto plants are pouring into the United States of America. They're coming from Mexico, they're coming from Canada, and they're coming from Europe, all over Europe.
We're going to build cars again, guys.
Pretty amazing. So factories are
Who knows how much a car will cost after the whole thing has been built in the United States, but
this is something
we're going to build them
by Mark Zuckerberg, and you'll see this is AI now. These are, I never understood. I said, well, because I built shopping centers, and for $50 million you can build a very nice shopping center. So I never understood when they said $50 billion for a plant. I said, what the hell kind of a plant is that? But when you look at this, you understand why it's 50 billion. So this is one he's building in Louisiana.
The hell kind of plant is that?
That's Meta, Facebook, as people
That's what he
understand
said.
it to be. But look at that. That's the size of Manhattan. So that's superimposed over the island of Manhattan. It takes up a big part of Manhattan. I think they say 81%
Clearly.
of Manhattan. So these are big things, and they're going up. A lot of them are going up now. I don't know that big. Actually, Mark is building 4 of them, and others are building similar places.
What difference does it make how
And
big
when
they
these
are?
things open up, I'll tell you what, our country, we're leading China now in AI, substantially leading China.
They're building
and the
cars.
reason is because we're
The
letting
size
them
of the
build their own
factory
electrical
doesn't
facilities.
matter.
We would need double the energy that if you take all of the electricity that we produce right now in this country, you'd have to multiply it times 2 or maybe 3 times. So 3 times more than we have right now. For
I hope you
everything.
wanted to work in
To
an
operate
auto
a
factory
toaster and everything
because
else. Okay, 3 times more.
those are the jobs that are
And
available.
The way we are able to succeed, because
Also,
China
I hope
goes
you
out
need a
and
job in like
builds
5
these
or 10
massive
years,
plants.
whenever
So right now,
the factory's done
building
being
58 coal, in this case, almost all coal-fired plants. And coal is back with this country too, by the way. There's a reason they use it, because it's good. It works for them. And we call it clean coal. We don't call it coal. We call it clean, even very clean coal. But we have coal
We call
going
it
up.
very
We have
clean
nuclear
coal.
going up. Nuclear is very much in vogue now. It's safe and inexpensive and great. We don't allow windmills. We're not allowing any windmills to go up. I mean, unless there's a legal situation where somebody committed to it a long time ago, we don't allow windmills. And we don't want the solar panels that I was speaking with the secretary about, because they take up, thousands of acres of our farmland. You see these big ugly patches of black plastic that comes from China. And the solar is, I like solar in some ways, but for firing up your big plants, it doesn't work. It's very unstable, but it really takes up your farm. The farmers are saying, they're building these massive blotches in the middle of the fields all over the country. It's so crazy. It's so crazy. So we're not heavy into that at all. And windmills, we're just not going to allow them. They're ruining our country. They're ruining everyone. If you look at, I hate to mention countries, but you look at the UK, what's happened at UK, they have energy costs have gone through the roof. It's because of wind. They want to do everything, close up
Nuclear energy's in
north,
vogue now. I like that
the
one.
northern parts of the
I hear the
country.
term
They have
in
oil
vogue
that's
is also in
tremendous.
vogue right now.
And they closed it up, and I tell them, you're my friends, but man, you're gonna have a bad awakening very soon. It's gonna be very bad. They're ugly, they don't work, they kill your birds, they're bad for the environment, and if you look at them from a house, your house is worth less than 50%. So I'm trying to have people learn about wind real fast.
You've been
and I
following
think I've
since the
done a good
beginning
job,
of the
but not good
Ukraine
enough 'cause
war.
Some countries are still
That was a
trying.
while
They're-
ago.
They're destroying themselves. Those are countries that are really
Gosh, I feel
destroying
like I've been
themselves. I
doing
hope
this
they
for 100
get
years.
back
It's
to
only been
fossil
like
fuel.
2.
Because right now, Chris, whether we like it or not, fossil fuel is the thing that works.
It's been less than 2 right
And then
now.
you can add nuclear with it and other things, but fossil fuel is what works if we're going to fire up those big monster factories. But if you look at comparing everything before I took office, domestic auto production is up 18,000
I'm not sure that's a
cars
one-to-one
month. And we haven't even
comparison.
started yet because a lot of these plants aren't built. It's up 18,000 because Ford, General Motors, and a couple of others, Stellantis, they're taking their existing plants and they're, as quickly as they can, they're adding on to them. So when their plants open, because they're building big, modern, beautiful auto plants, but think of that, we're up 18,000 cars a month, and essentially all they've done is try and utilize their space correctly as their big plants open up. It's going to be, I hope they remember that it was this way. I hope this table gets a lot of the credit for what's happening. It gets all of the credit, because this would have never happened. We were going out of business in every way. We were losing. All the car plants were leaving this country. Now they're all coming back in, and they are coming from Canada, and they are coming from Mexico, but they're coming from Germany. They're coming from all over the world. Domestic steel production is up by 100,000 tons of steel a week. We have a 50% tariff on steel, aluminum, and various other things. Copper just got brought into the picture, and that means people are gonna want to make steel here. We just made a deal with U.S. Steel, as you know. We have an outside company come in, spend $17 billion on building new plants, new everything. It's great, and it stays right here in America. So we're doing amazingly well on steel, and domestic oil production is up by more than 300,000 barrels a day. That's a lot of barrels, and
It's a lot of barrels.
you're going to be talking about that in a second, I think. Chris,
When
and,
does the gas price come down?
These two people have done a fantastic job, and we have.
He says
we
it
have the
already
oil
is,
price
but
down to about
that's not the
$62
case
a
for me.
barrel. So just so you understand, because a lot of you like to talk about costs and prices, but I watch so much fake information. Product costs are down. Energy is way down. Energy brings things down. You know, with energy, that's what happened with Biden.
He may be
stopped
talking
our
about
program, and then he
wholesale
went back to
prices,
it
which have
when he
not
realized
yet
that,
been passed
it
down
looked
to
like you're going to be
consumers.
paying numbers that nobody's ever seen, like $7 a gallon. You're going to pay $7 a gallon. They were up to $7.5. So then he immediately went back to the Trump plan that they terminated, but it was too late for them. It was too late. They blew it. They had a great thing going. I gave them something great, and they blew it. Since the inauguration, we've created over 500,000 new private jobs, and if you notice, when the numbers come out, government jobs are going down and private jobs are coming up, and that's what really fuels the country. It's easy to hire people and pay them for doing something that maybe is not very productive, but government jobs are down, actually
Is it?
substantially down, and private jobs are way up, and these are the jobs that make money, create a better life. Meanwhile, we've reduced the number of federal bureaucrats by
Hello to
84,000.
Indonesia.
So
And hello
we're
to
at
Indiana and
84,000,
California.
I think the job numbers, you're going to see the new job numbers are going to be through the roof because of all of the different businesses that are moving into our country. And not just production businesses, autos and AI, but any business you can think of. In the world of furniture, as an example, North Carolina, I went there many times when I built a lot of hotels and things, and I'd go to North Carolina, I'd buy the greatest, they were the
Hey,
greatest,
North
most
Carolina, shout
talented
out.
people.
That's where I'm from originally.
And then
Any North
China came
Carolinians in the
along and
chat?
took all of those jobs away. If they would have tariffed them, China wouldn't have taken any of the jobs.
Probably
We
not.
had presidents said, honestly, and I like some of them, but they didn't know what the hell they were doing from a business standpoint, from running the country. And North Carolina, the most talented woodworkers that you've ever seen. I'd be there and I'd watch them. I'd say, I'd like to have a rail in that chair. Maybe can you fancy it up a little bit? How about this, sir? And it'd hand me a thing. It was like they were artists. They were
Yeah,
unbelievable.
crickets.
And that business was stolen from us by others, not only China, but by others. All of a sudden, you're ordering your furniture from China. And it was not even close to being as good, but they couldn't compete with it. If we would have said it costs 100% or 200% tariff, you wouldn't have lost one job. It's so sad. But we're going to rebuild North Carolina furniture and other places, South Carolina too, to a lesser extent. They make furniture, but furniture, we're going to put a very substantial tariff on. We've already announced it. It'll be done pretty quickly. And when that happens, everyone's going to start. I just tell you, North Carolina, go out and start getting the grandchildren and the children, start teaching them, because some of those incredible artists that I knew as young people, they're older people now, but they still have the talent and they have time left, but they're going to be teaching their sons and their daughters and their grandchildren, and it's going to be a beautiful thing to see. It's going to happen like magic. It's going to happen without question. It's not like, gee, I hope it happens. It's going to happen. The results of Ford that just announced it's going to create 4,000 new jobs, American jobs. Hyundai, 14,000 jobs. General Motors is moving production of the Chevy Blazer and Equinox from Mexico back to the United States where it belongs. Don't forget, we lost 55% of our auto production over the last 35 years. 55%. We were the auto capital of the world.
That's how they were able to bring the costs of automobiles down.
55%.
To be clear, it's
Mexico,
not like
Canada, China,
they were just betraying the United
States. And it's all coming back.
We are more likely to buy cars when they're $15,000 instead of $30,000.
We'll be more dominant. We'll be bigger. We make great product too. We're starting to make really great product. We're going to be bigger than we ever were. We're going to be at the level that it was when we were the only one that we sold to the world. And we're going to be back selling to ourselves and other parts of the world. It's not going to be the same, but it's going to be equally as important as it was in the heyday 30 years ago. But we lost more than 50% of the automaking capacity. In fact, the unions, the auto unions, as you know, the top guy didn't know me, didn't like me, and now he likes me. He says, man, I can't believe what Trump has done. But the auto workers voted for me. They understood better than anybody else. The auto workers, the Teamsters voted for me. Teamsters are great. They all voted for me. No Republican has ever gotten the support of the Teamsters and the auto workers. And now the head of the auto workers, I mean, it's so amazing. I watch them on television and they can't even believe what happened. And I told them all what was going to happen. We secured new market access for American agricultural exports all over the world. Our secretary is doing a great job. Thank you, Brooke. And we have negotiated historic trade deals with the United Kingdom, China, Indonesia, Vietnam, the Philippines, Japan, South Korea, who was here yesterday, and the European Union. Foreign nations are now paying hundreds of billions of dollars straight into our treasury, and numbers that nobody's ever seen before. As you know, we made trade deals with a lot of countries, and many of those countries, just to be able to sit at the table, are paying us hundreds of billions of dollars. We made a trade deal with the European Union. They were rough on us for a long time, and now we have a very good deal. We made that with them. Trillions of dollars is coming into our
country. It's a good point there on.
Far beyond billions, trillions of dollars. Wouldn't you say, Scott?
Yes, sir.
And in a short period of time, they have to buy $750 billion worth of our energy product. Energy is great. We have more than anybody else, so we're using it. But the European Union is a done deal, and Japan is done. I heard there was a problem with South Korea, but we met yesterday, and they're done. We didn't do anything. We just kept the same deal. He honored the deal. They wanted to see if, I don't even want to say it, but they wanted to see if they could do something. But they honored the deal, which is nice. And we cut the previous record-setting trade deficit, I hear just came out. We cut it in half already. We haven't even said, we've only been here really for a few months because, you know, it takes you a little while to fix up the Oval Office and do those things, prepare for the battle, right? So we really only been here for a very short period of time.
Wait,
and we
what?
cut the
What was that?
trade deficit in half. Is that right? That's a fantastic.
You're gilding the ceilings with gold to prepare for the battle?
These are things that are being built.
You're building a
These
ballroom
things, all these numbers up here, they're not open
to prepare
yet. When they open,
for the battle.
you're going to see things happen in the United States that nobody's ever seen before, including our country in its heyday. And I had the greatest economy in the history of our country my first 4 years, despite COVID. Which
Well, he
was a
inherited-
very
he
unfortunate
inherited the
situation
strongest
for the whole
economy.
world. We did a great job with it. Never got the credit for the job we did. Operation Warp Speed, people say, is one of the greatest achievements ever in politics or in the military, because it was almost a military procedure. But everybody, including Putin, said that Operation Warp Speed, what you did with that, nobody can believe it. And we did a great job, but it was a horrible, horrible pall over our country. We had a very dark cloud over the world. That was a very, very bad thing that came out of Wuhan, which I said it came out of Wuhan. That's where it came from. And China suffered greatly, but everybody did. But we did a good job with that, as good as you could possibly do, and we came back.
To be
now
clear,
we're
Operation
stronger than ever
Warp
before.
Speed was what
If
got
I
the
didn't win this
vaccine
election,
out
this
quicker.
country was gone. I'm telling you, economically
So,
it was gone. None of the things
Just
that we're talking
for
about
whoever's
would have
watching
happened.
right now,
And the whole
he's
world was
taking
robbing us
credit
blind.
for
Friend
the
and foe. They were
success
stealing
of getting the
our
vaccine
jobs,
out.
our money,
quicker.
our factories. They were stealing everything. We would have been a shell. We would have been a bankrupt, broken shell. And that's the way it is.
For
What we're
clarity,
doing, it's just the opposite.
that just happened.
Stronger than we've ever been. Last month in a landmark achievement, I also proudly signed the largest working class tax cuts in American history. So the bill that, I'm not going to use the term great, big, beautiful, that was good for getting it approved, but it's not good for explaining to people what it's all about. It's a
It
massive
was really
tax
just
cut for
optics.
the middle class. It's a massive tax cut for jobs. And it's, think of it, no tax on tips, no tax on Social Security. So seniors, I don't know how you can vote for anybody else. And,
Well,
just think of that. And
They'll
no
only
tax
be
on
able to vote
overtime.
for somebody else.
So you work
in the
overtime,
next
you don't have
election,
to pay tax on overtime. That's good. The Democrats don't know what they're gonna do. So they have like this soundbite. They have all these sound bites. They send it out. I don't know. Some guy sends out a word and everybody uses it, including the fake news. Some of you are here right now. I'm looking at you.
Both sides do that,
And
by the way. I read
it's
a
dead.
lot of news.
They use the word dead.
Both sides.
No, it's actually
Use
life.
sound
It's almost
bites.
like a newborn life.
And
It's not
and
death.
a lot of
That's their
repetition.
soundbite. The bill is death. It's not, we strengthen Social Security. We strengthen Medicare, Medicaid. The job we've done on Social Security is, if the Democrats got in, Social Security is over because the country's going
I'm
to fail.
curious how
There won't
it'll
any
be in
Social
retrospect.
Security. And
Like
I
a
made
few
that
years
pledge
from
to you,
now,
we're
once
gonna
all of
take
it is
care
actually in
Social
effect. I'm
Security,
really
Medicare,
curious.
Medicaid,
If
and
people
we're doing
will
that
look
in
back on it and
spades
think that
because
it
the
was a
country's
good thing or a
becoming
bad
so
thing.
successful again, and it hasn't been this successful. I think in the end, it will never have been this successful. I don't think it'll even be close with what's happening. Every American is seeing a tax cut as a result of the bill. The average police officer will keep an extra $1,000 a year at least in overtime, and the average waiter or waitress will keep nearly $2,000 extra in the fact that they would have had to pay that kind of money on tips. And I never realized that the government was so strong on that, but waitresses, waiters would tell me that the government would go after them. Like it was horrible. That's how it all started with me. It just was incredible. And the biggest thing was,
Yeah,
again, the
man.
$4 trillion that they found.
Donald Trump
So
is
that was
just
nice. They should
like
have
the
announced it.
waitresses that
I
the
could have
government
told
was
them
going
that,
after for taxes.
and I don't know. It should be simple, but a lot of people didn't understand it. Actually, a lot of good people didn't understand it.
He has a lot in
Now
common
they're
with
saying, Trump
the-
was
with
right.
the average waiter.
They've never seen anything like this.
The government's going
and
after
I don't know
both
what
of
it
them.
is, Scott. They didn't understand what we were trying to explain to them was going to happen. Everybody's moving back to the United States because they don't want to pay a tax. If they're not here, they have to pay a tax. And it didn't seem that complicated, but it's working at a level that nobody can imagine. This is working $4 trillion, but that's a big number. It's a number that nobody ever heard of before. But $4 trillion is exciting. but that's nothing compared to what's
Should I make
happening.
myself the
These
same
places
size
haven't
as?
even opened
Should I make it look like I'm
Some
sitting
of
at the
them
table
haven't even started
instead
hiring
of Pete
yet.
Hegseth, which
They're
is
under
who that
construction,
is?
so it's construction jobs, but it's not the big number. And the big numbers, when they open, they're going to be very successful. It's a revolution. We're also working on things to ensure that the awesome power of artificial intelligence is used to benefit all Americans, including American workers and also American children. In that spirit, our wonderful First Lady has just announced a presidential AI challenge. It's going to be a very good challenge, I can tell you. She's put her heart into it, which will inspire the next generation to stay on the cutting edge of this vital technology. This is the new internet, the new computer, the new television, the new everything, all put together in one. This is why when I show you a picture like that, I show you this. This is a factory superimposed over the island of Manhattan.
Big factories
many
coming,
of them
guys.
being built right now, all over the country, or soon to start.
How many of you wanted more big factories?
This one has actually started. That's in the great state of Louisiana.
I thought that there were factories that had been
Lady's
shut
working
down.
very
Shouldn't
hard
we
on this, and
just
it's an
reopen
important
those
initiative.
factories?
And Melania, when she puts her mind
I like
to
that he
it,
wears a blue suit, actually.
Nobody could do better. There's
Biden also
nobody.
wore a blue suit at all
So,
these things, so I guess
every
blue is
young
just
person
what color
should
suit you wear.
go to ai.gov to learn more. ai.gov to learn more. And you'll see it's a great challenge. I think it's going to be a very modern kind of a challenge. It involves AI, which is very exciting to people. So I want to thank her.
A modern
There's a lot of money
challenge
for children.
for a modern man.
We're putting America first, and we're going to be putting the America worker first. And you know, the Republican Party has picked up 4 million new people, 4 million. The Democrats have lost 2.5 million. Other than that, they're extremely happy. No, they're very depressed. They're very depressed. And their new box that they've fallen into is crime. There was
Democrats are
a consultant on
depressed,
one of the
guys. You
shows
heard it
this
here
morning I was
first.
watching. I thought it was very good.
Not like all that
And
fake
he's
news.
a Democrat consultant.
That's real
He was
news.
screaming,
Democrats are depressed.
No, don't let him do this to you. It's another trap. It's another trap. What he's talking about, like men playing in women's sports.
Sorry, Melanie.
They said that's an 80.
It looks too weird.
It's a 97.3. It's 97.3. Like transgender for everybody. They fought for it. They're still fighting for it. I
Transgender
saw
for
a guy
everybody,
today,
don't you know?
That you all know very well. Fighting like
That's such a
hell
funny.
for men playing in women's
Raise your
sports. You don't understand.
Tell me in the chat
They're human
if
beings
anybody
also. Well, I
has ever
agree they're
tried to
human
turn
beings.
you trans.
But you can't have a 7-foot guy playing basketball with the women. You know, just one of those little problems in life. And we all have our place. It's okay. I've got my place too. But this guy's screaming, it's another trap. And this is the worst of all. He said, because this is crime. Trump is saying he's against crime and they're for crime. No, he's going, it was funny. No, it's a trap. Don't do it. And then I saw this poor stupid Chuck Schumer, the guy. He looks like he's aged 100 years. And I don't like getting into looks. You know, looks don't mean anything, right? When you're in politics, looks don't matter. I look at Pam, I would never say she's beautiful because that'd be the end of my political career. Glory.
He comments on people's
Secretary.
looks all the time.
But I will tell you, this is the best of all. And they're gonna fight me.
Literally
Like
all
the
the
slob
time.
of a
He
governor
just
you
did
have in
it.
Illinois. This poor
Secretly.
guy got thrown out of his business by his family.
And saying that he can't.
Know the family. I was partners with the family. Nice family. I like the family, but he was no good. They threw him out. He's governor of Illinois.
When
and he
I did a watch
about
along
Trump.
of him
We
talking
don't need
to
his help. Chicago is the worst.
Tim Cook from
These
Apple.
places are really bad.
And he
Crime
said that
in DC
you're very accomplished
was the
except for
worst it ever was.
athletics.
they
You don't
make
look
up
athletic.
Stories. Crime in DC was the worst ever in history. And now, over the last 13 days, we've worked so hard.
It wasn't the
We've
worst
taken
it was
so
in
many-
history,
there are
to be
many
clear.
left,
It was down
but
30%
we've
already.
taken so many criminals.
Not that
over
there wasn't
1,000.
already crime.
I
Not that there
watched
wasn't still
a
crime.
man
But it was down significantly.
from
It was
Maryland
not the highest in history.
who said to me, I mean, sir, you're the greatest president. You're doing an unbelievable job. What a great job. Governor Moore, has anyone heard of him? He's another hopeful for president. I don't think so. But I met him, and I didn't realize it was on camera. Did you see they caught him on camera? I was at a game, I don't know, like the Army-Navy game or something. And I met him in a hallway. And as usual, you do your job very well. One of these great cameramen had it on tape. But I met this gentleman. I never met him before. Sir, you're doing a great job. You're doing an unbelievable job. Thank you very much. But then he goes on television and says, oh, Trump is a dictator. He's a dictator. And a lot of people have heard. So the line is that I'm a dictator, but I stop crime. So a lot of people say, you know, if that's the case, I'd rather have a dictator. But I'm not a dictator. I just know how to stop crime. And
I just call in the army on U.S. citizens to stop crime.
Illinois would have such a problem with crime, such a bad governor.
To be clear, that is something a dictator would do. And I'm not calling Trump a dictator.
Could you send over the troops, please? It's out of control.
If we're talking about things dictators have historically done,
out of control.
Calling in the military on its citizens is one of those things. Undeniably, totally neutral comment there. That is not a slight against Trump. I'm not saying he is a dictator, but historically that is something dictators have done.
I got them in my first term, and I was really sad because I said, oh boy, I got them, and I won't be president. And little things happen. Thank you, God. Thank you. Little things happen. Think of it. You could ask Johnny. Johnny would tell you he's the head of World Cup. He's a great guy too, great commissioner, but he's the head of the World Cup. He said Trump is the only reason we're doing this. And the sad part is that I was not going to have it. I would have to be, probably I wouldn't have even been invited to the game, depending on who's president, right? And I got that. I did not get 250. There's a link in my bio
if you want the mug.
The 250th anniversary, I did not get. I'd like to claim it, if I might.
Also, I've been tagging some of my more recent videos
whether I was president or not, it was still 250. I'd like to take credit for it. What I will take credit for is we're going to have a better celebration under Trump than you would have had under some stuff. That I'll take care of. We're going to have a safer place, Christy, because of you and Tom Homan and everybody, right? But, so we have 250 coming up. We have the World Cup coming up, which is like having 45 Super Bowls. And we have the Olympics coming up. So we're going to have a very exciting 3.5 years remaining.
Boy, Los Angeles is
it's going to be done. It's going to be done properly. So
is the World Cup happening in Los Angeles also?
Our country's in incredible shape. Our military is strong and powerful and respected. We had some fantastic decisions.
Someone asked what the purpose of this press conference is. It's a cabinet meeting.
Other businesses.
So once Trump is done talking, all of the rest of his cabinet is going to glaze him and his accomplishments.
Killing our country.
At least that's how the last one was.
You
maybe there will be some new information. I'm hoping
into a company based on your
they give us
ability,
some information that we
as opposed to being forced
before.
in based on some factor that cannot make our country great. That was a big decision.
Yeah, LA is hosting the World Cup.
Decision. And we've had a lot of great decisions, and we've all made some great decisions sitting around this table. I want to thank Scott. Unbelievable what's happening financially.
Los Angeles will have the World Cup and then the Olympics.
Vice President's involved in everything, and he's been great. And Marco has been really, I think you're born for this job. I don't think you should ever run for another office. I don't think you should, really. You're so good at this. He is so good. And everybody likes him, everybody likes him. But everybody, much more importantly than I think you would say, is respect. They respect Marco. They respect all the people around the table. So what I'd like to do is, I'd like to go around the table. You seem to like it. Your audience seems to like it based on ratings. And I want to mention, about crime, because we have a young lady here, Iris, of Epoch Times. You're Iris, aren't you, huh? And I heard you were very savagely mugged in the city, and you're not going to let that.
So I invited you here to use you as a prop.
That was last year. And would you like to mention what happened?
Of course. So first of all, thank you, Mr.
Is something wrong with my tie?
For having me here to share my story to the room and to the broader public.
JK.
My name is Iris Tao. I'm a White House correspondent for NTD, the sister media of the Epoch Times. So more than 2 years ago, it was a Saturday morning in broad daylight. I was on my way to work, and a young man with a black ski mask pointed a gun at my face and threatened me to hand over my phone, my wallet, my laptop, and everything else. And when I refused, he used the butt of his handgun to strike me across the face, in the cheek, or what some people call pistol whip me, before running away. And that has deeply traumatized myself and my family. Ever since, I've never dared to walk in the street of DC at night ever, and my family was extremely worried. So, Mr. President, thank you so much for what you're doing right now, because
for being honest.
such incidents involve not just me, but also my family. If he had shot me, I could have died right there in the middle of nowhere without my families or my friends knowing at the age of back then, I think 23.
Right.
Just starting my career here in DC without even starting a family.
Muggings
And now
are,
I'm very blessed to have this opportunity
look,
to.
You had a gun
Muggings
pointed at
are a
your
thing
head,
that
and you
happen.
Probably figured
I'm
that
not
he's gonna
saying-
pull the trigger because these are animals that don't know what the
Nothing should
hell.
be done
they,
about
don't-
it,
they couldn't care
obviously.
less. The pulling the trigger to him is a very minor event, and I'm sure he's done it before. So how did you? And you
he's
did
gonna milk
refuse
it.
to give it, which would probably maybe somebody would say that was not the right decision, right?
Right.
But you
Maybe you
refused.
wouldn't have
but I
gotten pistol
understand that. So and then he hit you real hard.
Yes.
It's really amazing that you weren't shot, though, isn't it?
I'm very blessed, and that's why having this opportunity to stand here to share my story today. One, I'm very grateful for God for allowing me to still survive to this day, but also to Mr. President. Thank you for now making DC safer
Thank you very much.
for us, for our families, for my parents, on my behalf of my parents, and now my baby on the way. Thank you so much.
Look, I haven't been to DC
Reporters and
lately.
Journalists, and good people.
If
and
you're
you
in
don't have to say
DC,
it,
let me know.
that have also been
Do the streets
attacked
feel safer?
violently.
Do you prefer
And not
having the
violently,
military
too.
there instead of
Pretty-
criminals?
pretty
I mean,
badly.
it
But,
sounds like if
and
you
I
were
think
getting
you see a
mugged
big
all the
difference in
time
the
and now you're
streets right
not,
now.
that's
This
a good
is
thing.
only 12 days.
But also,
but,
a
people are
militarized
telling me they're going out to
state
dinner now.
doesn't sound like a good thing.
But I have a lot of friends that are going
Maybe
out
the
to
lesser
dinner
of
all the
two
time now in
evils?
DC, and they weren't.
I guess.
They weren't doing it 12 days ago. They would never even think. One of my friends went out 5 times. It was 4 times the last time I told. Now it's 5 times. He said, I love going out to dinner, and restaurants are starting to open again. A lot of them closed because, nobody wanted to go into a restaurant. Nobody wanted to get to a restaurant or even sit in the restaurant. But you see a big difference now, don't you?
I do pass by Union Station. every
People on
day
Instagram
my
are saying
home,
they
and I
prefer the
do feel
military
a lot
for as long as it
safer
takes.
seeing the trucks
Are you in
outside, seeing the
DC?
National Guard troops members right outside. It just made me feel like I'm hopeful about DC again, and one day hopefully we can raise our family here.
Thank you very much. It's nice. And those are tough troops, too. Those are not politically correct troops. We don't have politically correct anymore. We have tough guys, tough people, including some tough women. But we have tough people. And when you look at them, I tell you, they showed one scene where a bunch of Deregulation guys or whatever, maybe MS-13.
People are saying
maybe-
military all the way.
maybe MSDNC, okay? Because to me, they're worse.
Some
I think
people
they're
really
worse.
do just
MSNBC
would
maybe
prefer
is worse than
a
Deregulation.
fascist nation to
Real scum. Real
any
scum,
crime.
Real dishonest people. But anyway, they went into this gang. I think it was Deregulation, Venezuela, and they weren't nice to this.
The thing is
group of people.
guys,
They
you
were-
can't
the
have
gang
one
was
without
calling
the
them,
other.
Sir. Yes, sir.
You
Yes.
can't have
Get outta here.
freedom
Get the hell
without
outta here.
some
You're no good. Get out of here.
crime.
And-
Good and
Yes,
evil
sir.
kind
Yes,
of goes
sir.
hand in
Yes.
hand.
These are people that beat up people all day long.
Sure, you're getting rid
And
of
they're
crime,
calling
but
these-
you are kind of giving up your
These
freedom. You're
soldiers,
constantly
that's what they
being
are, real
watched,
soldiers.
essentially.
There's no games. I said, you don't have to be political.
Don't do anything bad or the full military
And
will
you
be
know the way
after
they
you.
used to spit in the
that's-
face of the soldiers, where the soldiers
You
said,
just
I guess,
live by whatever
you'd have
rules the
some guy
military
or some woman
decides you
sometimes
need to abide by.
screaming at them from 1 inch away. They're standing there, and they're told you cannot
And right
do
now,
anything.
that's
and they
just
start
a
spitting,
crackdown on crime. Maybe
actually
it stops
spitting in their
there.
face.
Maybe it
And I
doesn't.
said,
You don't know. We
"You
don't know.
spit, we
That's
hit."
the problem.
And they're
We don't know
totally
where it
authorized
stops.
to do that, all of those things. But your story is great, and there are other stories here, but they don't have to tell them. But some people are ashamed to tell them. They don't want to tell them. But it was like a jungle, and it's not a jungle anymore. And it's going to get so good that this will be the safest capital there is. It'll be one of the safest places in our nation.
Action says
anywhere.
it's temporary.
And right now, it's one of the most unsafe places.
If it's temporary,
Not
then
now.
and it leaves things
12
better than they
12
were,
days ago, it was
then I don't think anybody
the
will
most
ultimately, in the end,
place
have a problem
in
with
our
that.
nation. And they have to stop issuing false crime numbers because, I mean, I heard the mayor, and I like the mayor, you know, fine. I don't care if I like her or not. If she did her job, I wish she were a horrible person who did her job. But she's probably nice, I guess. I don't care. I want her to do a job. But they issue false numbers. She said crime is down, you know, before we got, now they can say crime is down. Crime is very much down. But,
Yeah, do you think people
what
are free to
they-
protest?
What they did is they issued numbers.
Around
It's best
the
in
White
30
House or anything?
years. Not the best.
It's a pretty important freedom.
It's the worst. It's much worse. And they gave phony numbers, and then they fired the man who didn't want to write the phony numbers. He got fired. And I guess that whole situation is under investigation because it's a very important thing, Pam. I mean, if they're going to give these phony numbers, it's a false feeling that you get crime. You have to do something about it. You can't go around saying, "Oh, Washington D.C. safe," if it's not. It's going to be very safe very soon. It's very safe right now. You're going to go out, have dinner. People are going out all over the place. They're walking. I have people that work in government, strong, tough cookies. They can take care of themselves. But it doesn't help to have big, strong muscles. And I work out. If a guy's over there with a gun,
It's not really about protecting
shooting you
yourself.
in your face.
There shouldn't
You
be
can be the
a lot
strongest
of
guy in the
crime.
world. Guy has a gun, shoots you in the face.
In a functioning
Doesn't matter
society,
how much you worked
there is
out, how
less
many
crime,
weights you've lifted,
right?
how hard you work.
I think
And,
if the question
So
was
we have the
just
toughest
should
guys
there
and we
be
have
less
the best
crime,
guys, and I'm
everyone
willing
would
to
have
go
the
to
same
Chicago,
answer.
which is a big trouble. But
You
we
know?
have a governor that refuses
The problem
to
is
admit
that
his
that's
problems.
not really the
Huge
question, or at least
problems.
there's more nuance to the question than
Baltimore, West
should
Moore was
there
telling me
be
he
crime.
wants. I want to walk with the president. Well, I said I want to walk with you too someday, but first you got to clean up your crime because I'm not walking. I'm not walking in Baltimore right now. Baltimore is a hellhole, and this guy, I don't even think he knows.
Take that,
He's another
Baltimore. I
candidate
hope you don't
for
live in
president
Baltimore and
between
voted
him
for
and
Trump
Newsom.
because he
But
just
some
called
real
your
beauties,
state a
okay?
hellhole.
But if we didn't go into Los Angeles, you wouldn't have the Olympics, in my opinion. You wouldn't have the Olympics. We went in, and the sheriff, the boss, said, "Thank God they're here." You could see his tape. He said, "We were not able to control what was happening." That was the sheriff. And he said it
Oh,
loud
he's not
and
talking
clear.
about the Olympics.
And, they're suing
He's talking
us
about
for
riots.
going in and cleaning up crime. And yet their own sheriff said, on the first or second night, he said, we could have never had. That was going to be, you were not going to have the Olympics or the World Cup, because that would be, there wouldn't be anything left. They shouldn't have lost 25,000 houses. The water was turned off from the Pacific Northwest. And I was after them in my first administration, turn on the water, turn it on. Nobody could have believed this could have happened. But they had no water in the fire hydrants. They had no water in the sprinkler systems that people put up in their ceilings. There was no water. And yet we have tremendous amounts of water. They send it all into the Pacific
Well, it
Ocean.
was used. The
Trying
water
to
got used. To be clear, there wasn't. It just there wasn't just not any water.
Water either.
There was
And
water,
it shouldn't be a protected.
and then the
because they
fire
have-
was really
it
bad,
shouldn't
and
be
all
a
that water
protected
got
species.
used.
But I think that's actually
They had to
just an
import more
excuse.
water.
I actually think these people are sick. There's something wrong. So we send hundreds of millions of gallons of water a day into the Pacific Ocean. They turn a valve, and the valve heads out, and we turn the valve back. I actually had to do it using force. We turned the valve back, and now they have water, but not as much as they should have, because they should. And I'm telling Gavin Newsom by this conversation right now, turn the rest of the water on. Turn it on. So things are done that are so sad in this country. Lack of common sense. I like to say the Republican Party is the party with common sense. We're smart, we're sharp, we're this and that. They're smart, but they're radical left people. And they can't help it. They're very smart, but they're radical left, and they're destroying our country. But they're not going to destroy it anymore. So we picked up millions of people in the Republican Party. They lost millions of people. And I think we're going to do very well in the midterms. And I just want to say one other thing, and that's medicine. The cost of medicine all over the world is much cheaper than the United States because for years the world pushed us around, including our friends. And you go to Germany, you go to England, you go to different places, and you go to a store and it's sometimes 10% of what we pay in the United States because they said, nope, we're not paying any more. You charge the United States. This went on for 25, 30 years. And I invoked favored nations. I said, I want to pay the same as they're paying. And Bobby Kennedy is doing a good job, and Dr. Oz is doing a good job. And I asked them, I mean, other than the basics that they're doing on autism and other things, which we got to solve that problem because it's crazy what's happening, it's out of hand. But this is the most important thing that can be done is favored nations, Bobby. And we're not talking about a 25% cut. Or 50, we're talking about a 1,500% cut. Because people go to Europe to buy drugs and they come back with drugs, prescription drugs, normal, not, I don't mean the bad drugs, I mean prescription drugs. Because you can
Just
buy
not
them for
medical.
10%,
Pharmaceuticals.
15%, 20%.
That's what he's talking about.
So they're gonna go up in price. And I told the countries, and I get along good with all of them. I mean, you could ask any, I get along good with all of them. But I said, you know, I told them, I said, you're going to go up a little bit because it's the world. It's the world. So more people in the world than we have. We're going to go down a lot, and they're going to go up a little. And it's called equalization. We're going to have equalization. So we pay the same price as the lowest drug sold anywhere in the world. And I think, Bobby, that's going to happen pretty soon. The companies are ready for it. They had to go for years. I was with a very great gentleman from Eli Lilly. I think he's an incredible executive. I mean, I'll mention the company and I'll mention him because we had this argument my first term and then we had it in my second term. In my second term, I wouldn't stop until I won the point. And he threw up his hands. He says, you're right. I can no longer defend it. I can no longer defend that a pill that's made by Johnson & Johnson
Thanks,
in a
guys.
factory, in the same factory, in the United States versus a place in Europe or other places, including Canada, by the way, you could buy it for 10% or 15% or 20%.
Hey.
The cost of what we're paying. Well,
Got
we're
some
paying 5,
fireworks.
6, 7 times more money. He said, it's the hardest part of my job defending that. I'm not going to do it anymore. I'm saying that we have to get down to business. And that's a great company. He's done a great job, and I appreciated it. And it really broke the ice because they were sending, well, we have to do research and development. Well, you have to do it for Germany and all these other countries too. Well, they think the United States should bear it. I mean, I heard this stuff, and I finally said, it's over. Now, you have to have somebody that can get these countries to do it. I told them, if you don't do it, we're going to charge you a 25% tariff on everything you send into our country. That's much more money than what we're talking about. Then we have to get the drug companies to do it, and they'll do it because we have tremendous power over the drug companies too. So we're gonna get it done. I just hope we get it done fast, Bobby, because this thing should go fast. But we're gonna get, the cost of medicine is gonna be 1,000%. Think of that, not 2%. And I just tell this last story. When I was in my first term, in my last year, I was so proud of myself because drug prices went down for the first time in 28 years under my administration. You know how much it went down? 1/4%. And I was so proud of that. And I held a news conference, I think you'll be able to find it, congratulating myself and my administration because for the first time in 28 years, drug prices went down 1/4%. That isn't tiny, but it still went down. And I thought it was great. And then I realized, it's a very complicated business and formula. You gotta be very smart. I said, we're really getting ripped off by the whole world. The whole world is ripping us off. And what happened is, I got on this kick, and I got the drug companies to agree, and I got countries to agree. And they're not agreeing because they think I'm a nice person. They're agreeing because I will put charges and costs and tariffs.
I will say the pharmaceutical
that will be
thing,
many times more than what they're going to be paying.
Americans
So-
really were getting hammered.
The companies are there.
You
the
know,
countries are there.
I
And
know
we gotta
people
get
who've
it
gone
done,
to
Robbie. We
Mexico
gotta get
to
it
buy their
done.
prescription
And
drugs.
we're gonna have the biggest
Because going to Mexico
price
is
of
cheaper
now,
than getting their
that's gonna lower
prescription
Social
drugs.
Security, Medicare,
here.
Medicaid. This is gonna lower everything because drugs go for everything. It's gonna have the biggest impact, I think, of anything that can possibly be done. But your costs are gonna be going down for medicine, for prescription drugs, will be going down at levels that nobody ever thought
I mean,
possible. And
I don't
that's
know
gonna
about the
happen in a
tariffs and
matter
all
of
that
a
situation
very
or
short
trade,
period
but
of time.
I
And
do
we're all
know
set
that
with the countries,
pharmaceuticals
and
were
we're
more
all set with
expensive in the United States than
with the
anywhere else in the
companies.
world.
That's all you need to do. And the middleman
Because of our
gets cut
healthcare
out.
system,
Under this
obviously,
scenario,
but
the middleman doesn't exist anymore.
that
was the
wasn't
other
really
thing. They always
fixed as
blamed the
much as
middleman. I
just
said, "Who are the
he
middlemen?"
just said bring the
Nobody knew who the
pharmacy.
middleman
You know, he didn't
was.
really
You know,
solve the root
They
problem.
had the most complex formula,
He just made
It was
pharmaceuticals
genius.
less expensive.
but they didn't get away with it. So
You're
I'm
still going
counting
to
on
need
Bobby. Do you wanna
pharmaceuticals
start,
because
Bobby?
they're
Maybe
keeping
we'll
us
start
sick,
with you. You can
but
start with that and then go
it'll
on
be
to
less expensive.
what-
You'll be able to
what we're
afford the
talking about.
pharmaceuticals.
We are deep into MFN negotiations, most favored nation status negotiations with 14 companies. Howard Lutnick is a breath of fresh air, and I think he's going to help us get across the finish line with the leverage that we have from there.
They're smart. Don't let them get away with it, Howard.
Well, the combination of Bobby's MFN and the 232 pharmaceuticals, which we
Bobby
launched
is
together,
RFK, by the
when
way.
you put those two together, it really gives Bobby the tools to go execute your plan. So I'm supporting Bobby as he executes his plan.
Good.
If anyone was like, who the fuck is Bobby?
And this
Robert,
cabinet meeting is supposed to be about
RFK.
working Americans to bring jobs back to this country, and particularly rural America. And I want to mention the big, beautiful bill. Right now, we spend 7% of Medicaid dollars on rural hospitals. So they're getting the short end of the stick. It's about $19 billion a year. Under the Rural Transformation Program, we give them an extra $10 billion a year. So we're raising an infusion of cash to rural hospitals and rural communities by 50%. It's going to be the biggest infusion in history, and it's going to restore and revitalize these communities. And we can't survive as a nation if we don't honor our rural communities, which are the source of our values, our virtues, our character, our economy, our food. And you are bringing that back. You are bringing those communities back. I wanted to talk, because you mentioned the wind farms, we now have an interdepartmental coalition, a team, which is Doug Burgum and Howard Lutnick and Chris Wright and Pete Hegseth. We're all working on this issue. And Lee, sorry, Lee. We're all working together on this issue. We're meeting together.
Don't leave Lee out.
There are right now 11 wind
Don't
farms
leave out Lee.
planned that were launched during the Biden administration. Between Maine and Virginia, it's 1,130 towers. These towers are twice the size of the Washington Monument. The blades on them
They're
are,
massive. It's so crazy.
the
Go ahead.
blades are 350 feet long, one blade. One of these blades blew up on Nantucket last summer, and the water was filled with shards of glass, of sharp glass, so it was dangerous to swim. They had to close the beaches, but they have indemnified themselves so the local communities can't sue them. None of these projects are bonded. If you build an oil derrick in the Gulf, you got to put a bond down. There's no bond for dismantling them, and that's one of the tools that Doug is now using to challenge some of these projects. None of the cost of energy from these projects is 39 cents a kilowatt hour. The average cost in this country is 17 cents per kilowatt hour.
And natural gas is 3 cents.
Right. So it is the most expensive energy. I've been representing commercial fishermen for 40 years. They are so excited about what you're doing, Mr. President, because their fisheries are being wiped out. As soon as they begin construction, the groundfish fisheries just disappear. The fish leave the area. They've killed 160 whales in the last 2 years. So they're wiping out the whale population, the Atlantic whale population, the big whales, the minkies, the gray whale, or the humpback whales, the right whales. And you are going to save the whales on the East Coast because of this. And you're going to save these economies. They're based upon
Trump
commercial
saves the
fishing.
whales.
I'll say one other thing about fishing.
Coming soon.
We are now, the South Asian nations are now dumping shrimp on our country. The shrimp is heavily contaminated. We just stopped a shipment that was contaminated with cesium-157, which is radioactive.
He's saying he stopped the radioactive shrimp.
Bactericides and antibiotics.
He didn't, by the way. There was a big recall because they were in stores.
The European nations won't take them, so they're
Just to
dumping them
be
all here,
clear.
and they're putting out of business. We have the most sustainable, highly regulated fishery in the world. What our fishermen do is a good thing. And all of the trawlers in the Gulf and Alaska are being shut down because we're getting shrimp dumped here. So we have now increased FDA inspections of shrimp to make sure that Americans are not buying and eating contaminated shrimp and putting.
They're eating the shrimp.
I talked just very briefly. We have an historic agreement on pre-authorization. We brought together 80% of the insurance industry, which has agreed to, for 80% of diseases and injuries, give immediate pre-authorization so that when you go to your doctor's office and he prescribes you a new knee or whatever it is, you will immediately know whether your insurance company is going to pay for it. This is an historic agreement. People have been trying to do it for
Well, that'd be cool.
decades, and we, because of your leadership, brought the insurance industry together. and
He
got
just said that you'll
voluntarily
be able to
agreed
find
with
out
this.
immediately whether or not your
Similarly,
insurance
we
covers
made another historic
procedures.
agreement
No
with,
waiting period.
personal
No
health
find out afterwards.
The 60 biggest tech companies in our country have all agreed to allow Americans for the first time access to their personal data, which they own, which these companies have been monetizing without permission. You're going to be able to see by next year all of your health records on your cell phone. It's going to save lives. It is going to fuel an infusion of technology into that space where people can access those records. They can compare their diet to what they personally need, and we'll have personalized medicine.
I hope it's HIPAA compliant, but that sounds like a good thing.
Price transparency. You
Access
passed this
to
in
your
first term,
files
and then the Biden
is good.
administration refused to enforce
To
it.
be clear, it'll be all
We
the
now
information
provide
that the government
HHS
has
under
on
your
you.
leadership and my leadership, more enforcement actions than during the entire 4 years of the Biden administration. So we're going to have that kind of price transparency. I'm working with Linda on forcing medical schools and the MCATs, the people who administer the MCATs, the people who do accreditations, to put nutrition into medical school education. Right now, 25% of the doctors in this country do not feel competent to give nutritional advice. 70% of diabetes cases can be reversed or ended if you just change people's diets.
Why are
The
people saying
doctors don't
Taylor
know how to
Swift in the
advise.
chat?
They only
Anybody
how
know?
to prescribe the drugs.
What's happening with Taylor
You're going
Swift?
to change that, so if you come out of a medical school under the Trump administration, you are going to know about diet. And then finally, most importantly, the Pete and Bobby challenge. I want to give an update. I got 5 minutes and 48. It's 100 push-ups, 50 pull-ups, and you try to do it within 10 minutes. I got 5 minutes and 48 seconds. Pete beat me. I'm still bitter at that. 5 minutes 25. The cabinet
100
leader
push-ups and
is
50
not Turner.
pull-ups?
Despite it,
That's pretty hardcore.
That's
got 5 minutes and 15 seconds. I'm waiting for reports from the rest of the cabinet. The only exemptions currently existing is if you can hit a 50th administer, which President Trump did with Bryce and DeChambeau. So he's the only
Taylor
one
Swift
exempt
announced her
from the
engagement
truth.
today. That will not be making the fucking
Bobby,
news.
autism, if I could, I don't want to go too long because we have a lot of people, but the autism is such a tremendous horror show, what's happening in our country and some other countries, but mostly our country. How are you doing on that?
We are
Oh,
doing very
man.
well. We will have announcements as promised in September. We're finding interventions.
We got a long way to go,
interventions
guys.
now that are clearly, almost certainly causing autism. And we're going to be able to address those in September.
It's such a big day. I'm looking forward to that day because there's something wrong when you see the kind of numbers that you have today versus 20 years ago. And those numbers, what are those numbers, Well?
In 1970, the biggest epidemiological study in history was done in Wisconsin. They looked
Guys,
at 900.
just so we're all
children.
clear.
They were looking for autism. They knew
Our
what it
ability
looked
to
like.
identify
And they
autism
were
has
very,
dramatically
very precise about
increased
it, and they found a
since
incidence
1979.
rate of 0.7, in other words, less than 1 per
We were talking
10,000
about
children.
diagnosed autism and
Today,
not
our
just
most
people with
recent numbers
autism.
are 1 in every 31 kids. It's probably
Right.
actually much worse than that because California, which has the best collection system, is reporting 1 out of every 19 children, now American children, has autism, 1 in every 12.5 boys. So it's gone from less than 1
What?
in 10,000 in 1970,
What?
1 in 12.5 boys.
Look at those numbers. So there has to be something artificially causing this, meaning a drug or something. And I know you're looking very strongly at different things, and I hope you can come out with that as soon as possible.
That can't possibly be
So 1 in
correct.
10,000,
1
and
in
now it's 1 in
15.
31 or 34 or 12 if it's a boy. Can you imagine that?
1 in
1 in
15
12.
is not accurate.
That's
No.
for a boy.
Okay.
1 out of every 12.5 boys.
It's not even believable that that could be. And that was 1 in 10,000 not so long ago. I've been hearing these numbers and they get worse and worse every year. There's got to be something.
Wow,
I
1 in
think
31 is
There's nothing.
Still
including
higher than I
favored
expected.
Nations and everything else. There's nothing that can be. If you can find out the reason that that's happening, and I know we're
that's
gonna-
still data from
we're gonna do some
2022.
things. I think it's.
We will
I think.
have that answer
I think
for
we.
you.
I think we maybe know the reason, and I look forward to that press conference, to be with you in that press conference. That's going to be a great thing. Thank you, Bob. You're doing a great job. Linda, how about it? And we want nothing less than $500 million from Harvard. Don't negotiate, Linda. They've been very bad. Don't negotiate. Go ahead.
All of that's working well. Mr. President, thank you very much. Since we are focusing on
Are all the
today
kids
on Labor
autistic?
Day, and I
Is
know
that
that Kelly
is that what's really
and Melinda
happening?
was going to echo some of the things that I'll say as well. We are
1 in
really focusing,
19.
on our workforce, but what I'm finding with
like
great joy around
hundreds
the
of
country
thousands of
is
kids.
that states really are being innovative and working more with middle schools and with high schools to make sure that we are having hands-on learning. There are pathways to jobs that are happening now. And if we see more and more of our community colleges working with our middle schools and our high schools so that high school students are graduating not only with a diploma, but a certificate that they have worked with, perhaps with a Toyota or another company that is coming in, public-private partnerships. And they're learning on the job so that when they graduate from high school, they're ready to go into the workforce. Because we know with all of these wonderful jobs that are coming back into the country, through AI, through just our normal jobs, that we need electricians, HVAC operators, etc. If we don't have this training, we're not going to have the workforce we need for all these wonderful jobs. So governors are really excited about this prospect. I've been now to several states and visited
Thanks,
community
Shid.
colleges and tech schools with governors, and they're just all on board for getting this done. I think it's one of the best things that we're hearing relative to the job market. So we're just kind of focusing on that for today.
Anybody surprised
So
in
we're
that
bringing
number?
Education.
1 in 19
back
kids
to
have
the
autism
states,
in
to put
California?
it in a more simple fashion. We're going to let the states educate our children again. And, you know, we're rated out of 40 countries, we're 38, 39, or 40. So obviously, it's not working what they've been doing for the last 30, 40 years. And if you go back, the best are like Norway, Denmark, Sweden, some of the other, Finland, they're very highly rated. If you go back to just take a look at anything you want to do, you just look at us in the past. If we gave Iowa or gave Indiana,
Just under
or gave- and I don't say every
500,000
one of
kids
them, you know, a
in
guy like Gavin
California
Newsom's not going to
alone
do well.
have autism,
Certain states won't do well.
according to this statistic.
But even California, you cut it up into sections. You have Riverside, you have this, you have that. You cut it into 5 sections. And, you know, if you had a good governor, you'd be able to do well. But certain states will be able to compete with Denmark, Norway, Sweden, and everyone. It'll be just as good. So I figure you have close to 40 of those states. And then you'll have 10, you'll have 5 that won't be very good. You have 5 disasters, and we'll have to work on those disasters. But for the most part, we will have education that will go zooming up in those charts, just like we have in everything else we've done. And I think it's one of the most important things we're doing at this table. So bringing education back to the states where you have the parents running it, where you have the school boards that are local. We have people running from Washington that have never even been to the state that they're in charge of. They've never even been there, and I don't think they care about it. So we want to close up the Washington buildings, sell the buildings off, let somebody else get rich with the real estate, because it'll be a crime-free city. By the way, speaking of that, anybody murders something in the Capitol, capital punishment, capital punishment. If somebody kills somebody in the Capitol, Washington, D.C., we're going to be seeking the death penalty. And that's a very strong preventative. And everybody that's heard it agrees with it. I don't know if we're ready for it.
Death penalty
country.
coming back to
So
Washington,
we have
D.C.
It is, we have no choice. So in D.C. and Washington, states are going to have to make their own decision. But if somebody kills somebody, like you could have been killed, very lucky you didn't get killed, it's the death penalty. Okay?
Someone says I'm obviously biased about
Fantastic
Trump,
job
but
you're doing. Thank you, Lynn.
that person
Very
is
much
wrong.
How are you doing with the
You're wrong.
colleges, by the way?
I have
You're
no
doing
bias
some pretty good
for
work
or
in
against
terms
Trump.
of getting them to treat people
Just take
fairly.
everything he says.
Well, interestingly enough,
As it
since we've
comes.
been negotiating with some of the Ivy League schools, I have presidents of universities calling every single week. They want to sit down and talk to us about all of the
Sure.
steps that they are taking because they would like to not come under the same investigative, program. And so it is having its desired effect.
That's great.
If our shot across the bound, the big guys, people kind of step in line and know you mean business, and we have teeth in these agreements. And I'm proud of the work that we're doing there.
Well, they misbehaved, and some of these schools are getting billions and billions of dollars.
I'm just looking up. The
And
death
they
penalty was
misbehaved,
abolished.
so
Oh,
that's
I'm in
it.
the way.
So one way or the other, we're going to win that whole thing. It's going to straighten them out.
The
Okay?
death penalty
Thank
was
you.
abolished
Great
in
job.
Washington, D.C. in 1981.
Mr. President, the Trump
The last
EPA
execution was
has a special
1957.
Labor Day message to America's workforce, especially our auto workers, our coal miners, our steam fitters, our pipe fitters.
It's
and
extremely
the
rare,
list
but the
goes
federal
on.
government has always been
See,
allowed
what a difference a year makes.
to seek the
A year ago,
death penalty.
the way
So
that the Environmental Protection Agency was operating,
it's actually nothing new.
the
He's just
choice
saying that they're
was
going
made
to start
to
doing that.
protect the
It's,
environment.
if anybody was
we would
wondering if
have
it's
to
against the law
strangulate
for
the
him to do
economy.
that or
That's
anything,
the way
it's
that
not.
the EPA operated
not.
for years. There was a binary choice. We had to choose one or the other. The Trump EPA completely rejects that. See, we choose to protect the environment and grow the economy. And a very special shout out to Russ Vogt and his team at the Office of Management and Budget. We give him a lot of work. He's happy to do it. Dozens of different deregulatory actions. We just announced a proposed rescission of the 2009 Obama EPA endangerment finding. All of the light, medium, and heavy-duty vehicle regulations that followed. It is the single largest deregulatory action in the history of the United States government. And when you add up the dozens of different actions that we have announced and that we're working through, in one
Interesting.
agency in 1 year will do more deregulation than entire federal governments have done across all agencies, across entire presidencies. And what we are accomplishing would not be possible if not for the support of the rest of this team you've assembled around this
What do you guys
table.
think about that? Tell me in the chat if you're
well-oiled,
for
well-wired
the
machine at the White
deregulation.
House, led by Susie
Are you,
Wiles.
do you want more
and
regulation? Do you want the same regulation? Do you want less
Policy
regulation?
Shop, led by Stephen Miller.
Regulation is important in some
amazing to work
aspects.
with. I was just in Iowa.
There's no wrong
with
answer.
Administrator Loeffler made an announcement with Secretary Rollins to reverse the deratement on diesel exhaust fluid systems. Mr. President, you said you wanted water flowing faster. Working with the Secretary of
I've been
Energy,
posting
we've
every
done
day
our
for the
part
last
to do
2
that, to
years.
Get gas cans flowing
Whoever said
faster,
I
to
haven't been
stop that
posting.
annoying
I post all
start-stop
the time.
feature in vehicles. See, people out there might say, well, why are you focused on all of these little things? If it's little to you,
You're not
doesn't
seeing it
mean
because
that
I'm
it's
shadow
not
banned.
a very big deal for millions of other Americans. The charge was clear when you called me in November and you asked me to do this job.
I might have to speed
Clean
this
air,
up a little
land, and
bit, guys.
water
I think
for
it goes
all
on for a whole other hour.
Rules having to do with the rebuilding
It
of those
does.
houses.
It sure does.
And Lee
This
was
is a
able to
2.5
get the
hour
approvals done
thing.
for it, having to do with how corrupt the 2020 election was, and when will that all
I'm not
come
going to sit
out?
here for 2.5 hours. I've
Mr.
got
President, I will be the
lunch to
first
eat.
to brief you once we have that information collected. But you're right, we are finding documents literally tucked away in the back of safes in random offices in these bags and in other areas, which again speaks to the intent of those who are trying to hide the truth from the American people and trying to cover up the politicization that was led by people like John Brennan and James Clapper and others that have caused really immeasurable harm to the American people and to our country.
Very
They
good.
stuck them in the
Thank
back
you.
of a
We look forward
safe
to hearing
so
it.
that they wouldn't be
The
found.
public looks forward. Thank you very much. Administrator?
Thank you, Mr. President. Well, everyone knows there's no stronger advocate for hardworking American families than you, sir. Thank you for the largest tax cut in American history for working families. The average family of four is going to save about $10,000 take-home pay more a year. And what we're seeing is an increase in the child tax credit, the increase in the standard deduction. Hardworking families are going to benefit from this bill, and small businesses. There's no bigger beneficiary than Main Street, because small business makes up 99% of all businesses in this country. I've traveled to nearly half of our states, 24 unique states. I've made 40 state visits. In fact, I was with our great vice president at a small business manufacturer in Georgia last week. I was with a trucking company in Ohio. I was in Michigan at a motorcycle manufacturer. The return of Made in America is going to be driven by small businesses, because 98% of all of our manufacturers in America are small and medium businesses, 600,000 factories that employ 5 million people. And as Secretary McMahon mentioned, this work-based learning that is going on in professional and trade schools is real. I've visited them from Utah to Maine to Georgia and seen this revolution in education happening. So small businesses need skilled labor. Now that you solve for inflation, for the taxes, every Democrat voted for a $4 trillion tax increase on the backs of hardworking Americans. And so you prevented that. And now we've got fair trade. And thanks to Administrator Zeldin, we're seeing deregulation. I mean, this diesel exhaust fluid crushed farmers and construction and other heavy industry. So rolling that back makes a real difference for small business. And your domestic economic agenda is amplified through small businesses, which is why small business optimism is above its 53-year average, finally. And so Main Street appreciates it. What Main Street wants now is a rate cut. They feel burdened by high interest rates. They would grow higher and expand more if they could, but the interest rates are really hurting them. And finally, I want to say thank you for your executive order on debanking. We're about to announce a major investigation on debanking. It happened to you and your family.
Wow.
It happened to me. It happened to thousands and thousands of Americans, and unfortunately, disproportionately on those that had conservative values.
Conservatives,
on
yeah,
Christians,
Republicans.
on
I heard about
pro-life,
that.
on 2A businesses.
I reported it.
And so we're going to be talking to the banks about that. The SBA operates the largest government business loan program in the federal government. We have a network of 5,000 banks. So we're going to be making sure that that never happens to anyone again.
Good job. You're doing a great job. Thank you very much. Christie?
Mr. President, first of all, thank you for the opportunity to work for you. And you committed when you ran for president to make America safe again. And today the average family and individual that lives in this country is safer than they've been in years because of what you've done. We've got 3 months in a row now with 0 illegal aliens coming into this country. And I want to thank Pete and the Department of Defense for all of their help. They're down at the border with us still, helping us keep that border secure and make sure we know who's coming into this country. You've arrested and brought to justice hundreds of thousands of illegal aliens, but criminals that have perpetuated violence against American people. Sir, you've had 1.6 million people voluntarily go home to their home countries that were here in this country illegally. Because of your strong message and you enforcing the law, they decided to go home on their own so that they could come back the right way someday and be American citizens. But what I think is one of the most remarkable statistics is that under Joe Biden's administration, 88% of new jobs went to foreign-born individuals. Under your administration, 2.5 Americans have jobs today that they didn't under the previous administration. And they have those jobs because you created opportunities. You made this country safe. You opened up the economy. You enforced the law. Now people can get up and provide for their families and go to work every day and be confident in that. And the last thing I would say is that it's incredibly important to know that every one of those illegal aliens that has gone home, they were costing us about $8,700 to $9,000 a piece in what they were taking out of our social programs, out of Social Security. You've saved this country billions of dollars, about $15 billion, just in what those illegal aliens were costing us in social programs. I've cut over 450 different contracts at the Department
I will
of
say,
Homeland
even though she
Security.
did just
We're
compliment
getting rid of corrupt
Trump, there's been a lot less glazing this time around. They're talking about their accomplishments of their departments,
and
but
we've also renegotiated,
last
brought in
time
our
just felt
biggest
like a
vendors
lot
and
of
said
like,
have
thank
to
you,
do
Mr.
better.
President
And we've
stuff.
saved the taxpayers over $13 billion doing that as well. So we're continuing to be accountable to taxpayer dollars, but sort of focused on doing the mission of what you've committed, and that's to keep us safe and to make sure we put Americans first.
Great job, and great job on the border. We had millions and millions of people coming in to think.
Sienna got a free gift membership.
That's some job.
Good on you,
Thank
Vasco.
Tom and everybody. Pete, good job. Not surprised. Thank you very much. Chris, please.
Mr. Chrissy. Sorry about that, Mr. President.
He wasn't ready to talk.
Secretary Noam, I'm thrilled to be here to work with you on the simple platform you were elected on, which was
This
to
is the
bring
glazing
back
I'm
the
talking
American
about.
dream, to bring jobs and opportunities
Tell us
for
what
families
you've
across
done,
the country, and
not
to
how
lower their
appreciative you
costs so
are
they can live their
to be able
lives
to
and
do it.
expand the choices they have.
Right? It's just not
You
necessary.
led off today talking about gasoline prices. I'll throw in diesel. If you correct for inflation, they're at multi-decade lows. This is a huge expense. This is a huge constraint on people's lives. We should celebrate that. Natural gas has become our main industrial
we already
security,
talked about
and of course
the gas
crushing
stuff.
for working Americans, particularly Americans that work with their hands. But we are seeing a revitalization of those people, of that optimism. You showed that picture of that plant being built in Arkansas, dozens of those under constructions, just in artificial intelligence.
It's still
But the
going, guys.
reshoring of steel,
It's still going
of
for a
aluminum,
while.
of plastics,
I may
of
not. I don't think I can
fertilizer,
last this long.
semiconductors. Like this, America's the land of opportunity. How did we get to become this awesome?
All right. This
Billy,
this
and
guy's
then
not
I'm
really
off to
giving
New
anything
England
new.
to talk to those states about how important the apprenticeship program is. But while I visited Hexel in Salt Lake City, 100% domestic carbon fiber for the Department of Defense as they produce. They are announcing another $1 billion investment per your executive order on advanced manufacturing. So it is working. Everything that you have been saying since you were elected and since we all can put into play has been working. Ohio, McDonald's is investing 375,000 new jobs. The shrimpers, I visited as well, and they need our help.
The
in
shrimpers are
protecting,
coming, guys.
that industry
All the
for
jobs
our
we want,
American
right? McDonald's,
fishermen and shrimpers.
shrimping,
In Minnesota, I toured
car
Cambria,
building,
when we're
car
talking about quartz
manufacturing.
countertops, all made in America.
It's all we're
And again,
getting. We're
like
all gonna have
Oregon,
jobs.
where we are expecting
at
a
those-
crackdown.
in
Thank
those
you
industries.
For what you are doing with your agents on ICE, and thank you for the prosecution that I hope you will come
I can't
to
wait
Portland,
to be
Oregon,
a
and crack down. But while there are still
shrimping
good
McDonald's
people, I was
employee
able to visit
in the future.
Buckeye Pacific, really a trading floor for the timber industry. So we still want to focus on great, hardworking American businesses. Mr. President, I couldn't be more excited to ring in Labor Day in Erie, Pennsylvania for the Labor Day Parade. I will be there to welcome it. It is an honor to serve this country. It is an honor to serve under your administration as the Labor Secretary, and we will kick off, and Republicans will own Labor Day again. Not Democrats. We will own it because we are.
Did Democrats
you are the
own Labor
president
Day?
of the American worker. So thank you.
Tell me in the chat if you thought that Labor Day had been like taken over by Democrats.
And I will tell you that Lori was recommended by the Teamsters. And I said, that doesn't really work, does it? And it turned out to be one of our best choices. So I just want to thank you and
This
Sean,
person says he saved my
who,
TikTok
as
job.
you know,
Little do you
recommended me
know,
strongly. You
TikTok
turned
doesn't
out to
pay
be
me
a gem.
shit.
I was able to talk to the president on the phone the other day. He called and we visited, and he said, "But I know that you were you know, a little bit middle of the road and not so sure. I said, Mr. President, I have been a Republican. He's like, what? Wait, what? Now I like you even more. I said, I appreciate it.
Thank you, Laura.
Thank you.
Thank you. Pam?
President, I'm working with everyone around this table almost daily on legal issues that we're winning on. But today, because it's Labor Day, President Trump, if I could focus on public safety, not only domestic, but from our foreign adversaries. And Secretary McMahon, I know you know, kids are out of school this weekend. It's Labor Day. And Secretary Duffy, you know, our highways are going to be packed with travelers coming to not only our nation's capital, but all over this country. We're also going to have boaters, Secretary Duffy, right, on our waterways. It is illegal to be under the influence and on a boat. So get a designated boater if you're out on our waterways, whether it's the Potomac or the Gulf of America or the Pacific. Wherever you're out this weekend, people need to be safe.
And the military's there to make sure.
At the national level, Secretary Rubio, thank you for all your help on everything we're doing, and everyone around this room. But yesterday, there was a big, big win. El Mayo pled guilty, and he was the co-founder of Sinaloa cartel with El Chapo. And there's even a Narcos Netflix series.
Yeah, I
about these
reported
guys.
on
Well,
his
now we know the ending.
arrest,
He's gonna
but not
die in
on
an
his,
American prison. They are one
yesterday
of
he
the worst.
pleaded guilty in court.
El Chapo and El Mayo, some of the worst narco
But I mean, he was already in
traffickers
prison. He
in
just
our
is
world.
gonna stay in prison.
And he will spend life in
How long am
prison.
I gonna
And
watch
that's
with
so
you? I don't know.
important.
I don't know.
Because
I'm gonna
this
skip
guy
ahead
and
just a little
others
bit more. Oh my
Domestic.
God, there's so much
On
more.
the international
Just
front,
see a little bit of what
you have
everybody. Oh,
leveled
I
the
skipped
internet from the
fucking what's his
public's
name?
Inherited the largest peacetime deficit
See
in
what
the
JD
history
Vance
of
has
the
to say.
United States of America. And now, because the president is not letting foreign countries take advantage of us, we're collecting hundreds of billions of dollars, trillions of dollars over 10 years in tariffs from countries and
All right, he's
companies
talking
that
about
are trying to
tariffs
take
and
advantage
immigration,
of the
but
American
Trump already
people.
talked about those
years
things.
was in your previous term. Your efforts on tax, trade, and deregulation have boosted
I've heard
paychecks
most
for
American
workers
families will have to pay
while
$3,000
slowing the pace of
more a
inflation
year?
and lowering the cost of energy.
That's not my
Inflation has
understanding.
plummeted to just 1.9% since you took office, and the economy rebounded with real GDP surging 3% last quarter. The blue collar boom coincides with a CapEx comeback. In anticipation of your one big beautiful bill becoming law, CapEx increased by American businesses by nearly 14% in the first half of this year. And as you and I talk about frequently, and as that chart or that photo
That is inaccurate according to
attests,
AI.
we are going to see I believe, a bigger CapEx boom from here. This is just the beginning, just the beginning. You have saved this country by making it the best place in the world to do business again. Treasury is helping to implement these new provisions, as well as no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, no tax on Social Security. This weekend,
The American household will
workers
save
from
about
local restaurants,
$3,000.
to discuss the positive impacts of the pro-labor reforms on no tax and tips. And I have to tell you, thanks to you, when I go into a restaurant or stop by a hotel doorman, I am the most popular person there. And since my first job at age 9 was as a busboy getting tips, I am going to spend Labor Day.
This
going
guy's
from
been
restaurant
working
to
since he was
restaurant,
9?
talking to workers.
That's why he doesn't give a shit about employees.
Tip income. So I'll hear directly from
I'm just
them
kidding.
how
I have
their
no
one
idea how
big
he feels
beautiful
about
bill
employees.
is increasing their take-home pay and making a big difference.
Do you think kids should start
Now,
working at 9?
We can also talk
Tell me in the
that is
chat if you
domestic.
think we should put our
on the
kids
international
to
front.
work.
You have
at 9
leveled
years
the
old.
international trading system
Thank
whereby
you, bus
countries
tables.
took advantage of us, and that's over. It's over. The Treasury Department is taking in record tariff revenues that I
What
had
grade are
been
you in
saying
when you're 9?
was running at a rate of $300 billion a year. You chastised me
You're
for
yearning
saying
for
that
the
it's not-
mines.
that number is too low, and as usual, you're
Is that a
right.
Minecraft reference?
That we had a substantial jump from July to August, and I think we're going to see a bigger jump from August to September. So I think we could be on our way well over $500 billion, maybe towards the $1 trillion number. This administration, your administration, has made a meaningful dent in the budget deficit. The average budget deficit during this term is 26% less than the last 12 months under Biden. And even the CBO, and we don't agree with CBO on everything, as you said.
Unless it fits our narrative.
Last Friday, on a summer Friday, had to admit that they believe over the next 10 years, the budget deficit will be $4 trillion lower than they had previously scored. $4 trillion, 3.3 trillion of tariff income, 700 billion of lower interest cost, and I would expect that that number could go up from here. So, Mr. President, your return to the White House marked the return of the American worker. Thank you for reclaiming
Love that.
Labor Day for
I
the
hope it
American
turns our
people,
economy around. You know,
growing
there's been a
economy
lot of
for
talk
everyone,
about the
especially
tariffs
middle and
fucking
lower
over our
income
economy,
households
but
who suffered
wouldn't it be great if it didn't?
disproportionately under the last administration.
I mean,
And it's an
honestly.
honor to do this under your leadership.
Great job.
That's another one of those things that's like only time will tell. When we look back,
Brooke?
Sir,
if we're
I,
like,
uh,
if our
dropped my
debt is
second
exploded
son out of
and
college last
prices
week.
are still up in 4
And I
years,
wasn't planning to say this,
then
but
they
just
weren't the
listening to
right
everybody,
move.
I wanna
But
do a
if,
little bit of a personal
but
touch
if
on-
the
on
deficit
this
is down
He is started his freshman year yesterday at
and the
Texas.
economy is recovered,
For all my SEC friends.
then I would say that
Thank you for saving
most
college
people will have
football,
to
by the way. We're all very
agree
grateful.
that it was a good thing.
The country just feels different. It just feels different. There's such a optimism and a love. There's a faith movement going through.
We're looking for millions more.
Don't
to
care
be
about the
lifted out of
love they're
poverty,
feeling in the White House.
$100 billion to be invested.
That's not news.
Hundreds of thousands of jobs to be created. Hundreds of thousands of units of housing to come online. And so, sir, I sit here very excited about the future of this country. I'm very proud to be at this table, humbled to do so. And HUD, we're on a good path. So thank you for all your support and helping us, sir. Okay, God bless you.
And I want to give credit to Tim Scott, great senator from a place called South Carolina that we love, right? And Tim really came up with opportunity zones, and we did a good job of working with him, and together we created something that nobody speaks of very much, but it's probably the most successful thing that's ever been done of its kind. It's been amazing. So Tim Scott deserves a lot of credit for that. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you.
So Russell, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. President, and I get the opportunity to go hand by hand with all of these people as they move their deregs through the Office of Management and Budget. And I wanted to zoom out for a second. In the first term, you gave us a goal of 2 for 1. And then we outperformed it through your leadership. We came in at around 5.5, 6 for 1. And then as you're running for your second term, you put out a goal that when you put it out, I was thinking to myself, that's gonna be a pretty ambitious goal. You said 10 for 1. Well, where we are right now, in just 1 month, in 1 year, basically 8 months, we are at 245 deregulatory initiatives planned by these agencies. That comes out to 30 for 1. So we are making incredible strides, and you know, as you're focused on the details of each one, I mean, these aren't small things. Endangerment finding is one of the most deregulatory things we've in the history of this country. NEPA reform, incredibly deregulatory. WOTUS just came in, which is Waters of the United States. So every single one of these agencies is doing incredible work when it comes to deregulatory, and we add that to
fiefdom they were building. I'm telling you, we're not building a fiefdom at the VA. We're trying to take care of a service organization that takes care of veterans. So how do we do that? We make best medical interest where a doctor can send a veteran to the community a lot quicker without having to worry about miles and time logged and wait times. Just give them the help they need. We've actually expanded out, and it's made a difference in this regulation, and also unleashed a workforce that is now free of the collective bargaining agreements and other things that have kept them from being able to do the job of national security that they've been intended to. I'm actually giving them the benefit of the doubt to actually go be the workers that they're called to be, and that's what Labor Day is about. The VA is going to have the best workers, but just to let you know how that's working out.
Is that what
wait
Labor
times
Day
in our
is about?
hospital Are going down because we're getting them in our hospitals or into community care. And then one for you, Mr. President, you heard about this a lot, and that was backlogs. At the backlog when I first came in, and I've said this before, in February we had over 260,000 backlog. That means over 125 days of not getting an answer. In just a little over 4.5 months, we've dropped that over 100,000 We're under 150 and heading down to historic.
America, the leader in space. So,
I mean, people aren't even, people are tuning out.
Thank you very much.
It's just taking too long.
Really great. And he is doing a good job at NASA too, and we are, I think we'll have some pretty exciting announcements, and you enjoy it.
It's been fun.
I said, how about temporary? He said, well, can I go a little bit longer? He loves it. He loves it, and he's doing a really good job. Thank you very much, appreciate it. Howard, please.
So, making America great again is one of the key statements, and people don't always understand what you mean. So, we always talk about 1870 to 1913, but in the mid-1980s, America owned more of the rest of the world than they owned of us. We owned $140 billion of the rest of the world.
Yeah, because
net
someone
of
said they're
what
not
they
saying
owned of us.
anything. I mean, really,
And when
though.
you came into office this time, the rest of the world owned $24 trillion more of our assets than we owned of theirs. And so when people argue with you about, the trade deficit is nothing. The trade deficit sends 1.2 trillion of our dollars to them. And what do they do with it? They buy the great America. Because when we learned in college, what we learned was that if you keep printing these dollars, they're supposed to devalue. But the problem is we're too smart. We invented the light bulb, the transistor, the GPU, so they keep buying us. And the only president ever to understand that, you understood it in the 80s and the 90s, and I used to, see you on TV and you'd say, God, what are these people doing? And finally we've changed it. So let's go over what we changed.
I don't think he's saying that the deficit spending is good. I think he's saying that it's only a piece of the puzzle and it's not the whole
We've
picture.
negotiated $900 billion that they're giving you to invest in national and economic security in America.
Well, thanks for tuning in for as long as you could, Marilee.
Economy, $20 trillion. And all the experts said you'd never get a deal done with them. And watching you in Scotland was my favorite thing, right? 15%. They'll pay us 15%. And we will pay zero. So we can export to their $20 trillion economy, and they can pay to come to the great American consumer, right? So, a couple of other things. 4 days before you took office, the Commerce Department, which had the CHIPS money, they set up this thing called NatCast, which was a make-believe not-for-profit. And they signed contracts to wire them $7.4 billion.
Who's they?
This was just nonsense. So we stopped the payment. We got the money. It's an illegal thing to try to set up a department that's not the Department of Commerce, that kind of acts like the Department of Commerce. And what was it filled with? All these people who worked for the Biden administration. I mean, it's exact corruption that you talk about. $7.4 billion now clawed back. Last week was the most fun. In 1 week, Intel came in, right? The Biden administration had given $11 billion to Intel, given it to them, done. Corporate just gift. And you turn that into really, it was like less than 5 minutes of conversation, and Intel agreed to give us 10% of their company, which of course was worth $11 billion. So it's not socialism. This is capitalism. If you give someone $11 billion, who's just building in America, they're not doing something special, they're building in America. And their CEO told the president he didn't need the grant. And you said, well, then why don't we get something for it? So it's amazing.
Hey, you're welcome for making things easier to follow.
We don't produce.
Yes, this is sort of a normal thing. Normally, normally it doesn't take 2 hours, but
because Donald Trump is the only president.
The last one, I will say, there was a lot more glazing Donald Trump. There's some of that going on here, but not even close to as much as last time. At least people are still talking about their departments.
They are going to empower Bobby to execute MFN.
Hi,
Tariffs
Juicy
are going
J.
to be one of those tools that he's going to use to do that. We're going to do it for furniture. We're getting autos. We got steel, aluminum. I mean, it has been a blast, So, 2 more things. The Department of Commerce is going to start issuing its statistics on the blockchain because you are the crypto president, and we are going to put out GDP on the blockchain so people can use the blockchain for data distribution, and then we're going to make that available to the entire government so all of you can do it. We're just ironing out all the details so we can do it. Patents. We have given tens, if not hundreds of billions of dollars to universities for them to do research, and they invent things. And you know who owns those patents? The universities. So we are going to make a deal with them all, which is if we give them the money, don't you think it's fair that the United States of America and the taxpayers who funded it get a piece of that, right? So we wrote a letter to Harvard, so Linda and I working together. I mean, it's so much fun to work with everybody here. I mean, we just have a blast, you know, because Linda's hitting Harvard and she says, what can we do?
They're having
Now we send them
a great
letter,
time doing
them
all
again.
this stuff,
So,
guys.
We're having fun together. This is the greatest cabinet working for the greatest president, and I just want to say thank you. I'm having the time of my
All right,
life.
we're moving on to
Defense.
Hegseth.
To which you said that just doesn't sound right. So maybe next time we're here, my card will read Department of War. We'll see.
They're talking about
But
changing
it's
Department
not-
of Defense
here's
to
the thing,
Department
here's
of
what
War.
people
Tell me in
miss.
the chat.
It's not just
Do you think it
about
should be called the
words.
Department of Defense
It's
or the
about
Department
the
of
warrior
War?
ethos. It's about what the department
Sort of a
is supposed to do.
Odd change
George
when we're
Washington
not
started the Department
at
of War
war,
because he wanted
but-
us to win our wars. Our founders didn't want endless foreign entanglements. They didn't want endless contingencies and deployments. They wanted an empowered military that was, the handcuffs were taken off to fight to win and then bring those troops home. So my platoon at Guantanamo Bay, our motto was, those who long for peace must declare for war, must prepare for war. We don't want war, we don't seek it. You are the peace
Little
president.
Freudian slip there. He
Because
wants
we
to
are
declare
strong, our
war.
enemies know what we will do.
Maybe.
And so whether it's Secretary of War or Secretary of Defense, that warrior ethos is changing. We're going back to basics. Our drill instructors can be drill instructors again, sir. So from the minute of the tactical of standards to the strategic of B-2 bombers, we're focused on what matters. Had a meeting yesterday on Golden Dome for America, which is on track to deliver strategically for the American people. Munitions and the Deputy Secretary making sure our stockpiles are overflowing. That's our job. I'm an honor to be a part of it, sir. Thank you for your leadership.
That's great. I think I like Department of War better, but we'll make that decision, right? But you've been great. Thank you very much. So Marco, go ahead.
Well, Mr. President, first of all, everyone's made this comment already and needs to be echoed again. You were elected as the President of Working Americans, and that's why this Labor Day is so meaningful. For me personally, this is the most meaningful Labor Day of my life as someone with 4 jobs. And so,
That's true.
but
White
but
House
on the
humor.
point of, you made it very clear from the outset. Even in foreign policy, everything we did has to be pro-American. It has to make America stronger or safer or more prosperous. And there's just a few things I want to touch to because it involves your team under your leadership making it happen. The first is, for the first time in the modern era, we are truly on offense against organized cartels that are pumping poison, killer poison, into our cities. And that's a team effort.
Let's talk about drugs.
It's Christie's team, it's Pete's team, it's Pam's team, and
Not the
obviously it's under your
pharmaceutical kind.
leadership. And by the way, we're getting incredible economic, international cooperation. Countries just in the last week, Ecuador, Paraguay, Guyana, Trinidad, today Argentina, all joining us or trying to be helpful in advancing this. And this just, one thing is we're gonna stop drugs from coming in and we're having record seizures. But another thing is to build an international coalition against the scourge.
Somebody said that they were listening.
The second is
and
mass
he
migration,
said that
illegal
Ukraine
mass
started the
migration,
war?
which is dangerous for the country but harmful for American workers.
He has not said
What's
that since
happening
we've
on
been
the border
watching.
is essential. But it's not just
Are you
what's
talking
happening
about
on the
something
border.
else?
Again, Christy and her team have been essential in this. We have countries all over the world that are actually helping us, whether it's through safe third country agreements, whether through it's stopping the migration flow from coming here in the first place. Incredible international cooperation. We redefined our border. It's no longer just our physical border. We are doing things ahead of time to prevent this from happening and getting cooperations from countries that we've never seen before. And last, I would say, and Steve touched upon this, who by the way is doing a phenomenal job. Steve is both a great negotiator and he's also a nice guy, which are two tough things to pull off together. But it's incredible. But we both work for the peacemaker in chief. Think about it, how fortunate we are as Americans to have a president who's made peace a priority And just since the last time we've met, there was a war going on in Cambodia and Thailand, between Cambodia and Thailand. The president just picks up the phone and tells them to stop fighting, and within 72 hours, the fighting had stopped. You know, there's no other leader in the world that could have done it. And the fact that you were willing to spend time to do that and to make it happen is, of course, essential. And then the war that didn't happen because of Azerbaijan and Armenia coming here to sign that peace deal, which is historic in so many countries. You know, many countries said, "Oh, it's never going to happen." It is.
I've heard
impossible.
some people try to
And
take
it
the
occurred,
credit
Mr. President,
away
because of your leadership.
from
And then on a point of personal
Donald
privilege,
Trump
I
for
wasn't even gonna raise
those
it. I haven't even talked to
things,
you
but
about this. It's a
the
little
leaders of the
controversial, but I think I need to
countries
bring it up at
gave
this time
Donald
of
Trump
year.
credit. So
This thing about people getting married on Saturdays during college football
God,
season
kind
is
of
a
feels
scourge,
like
Mr. President. It's dividing families.
he gets the credit.
And I don't know if we can have an executive order on
stopping
this.
those wars.
Just saying, but it's really difficult. There's 7 other months of the year that people can get married, so I just wanted to say that because it's very, very difficult. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. Doug, please.
You could see who's talking if you went and watched this on
You've heard
YouTube.
from around the table how people are grateful to have an opportunity to be part of this
Just
team,
saying.
an opportunity to work
I'm
for
just
you,
saying.
and have an opportunity to
Also,
serve
I
the
look
American
better,
people.
and there's no green
I
screen.
would say as we head into this Labor Day, the thing that really differentiates you and your leadership
Hot in my studio, guys.
and everybody around this table is one word, and that's respect. Because this is a group of people that respect our farmers and ranchers. We respect the people that are in law enforcement. That's a huge change. Respecting the people.
Crooked people with very horrible people that have been found out now between John Ratcliffe and Tulsi and Pam, and I mean the things that we found out. Of course, it's a very, very sad group of people. But no, she seems to have had an infraction, and she can't have an infraction, especially that infraction, because she's in charge of, if you think about it, mortgages, and we need people that are 100% above board. And it doesn't seem like she was. Yeah, please.
Mr. President, first, I would love to ask you a serious question, but I have to tell you the biggest pop culture news of the year broke while we were in this cabinet meeting. Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift are engaged, and the world wants to
Taylor Swift's engaged.
Well,
it
I
got
wish I
brought
would
up at the
have.
press conference.
No, I think he's a great player. I think he's a great guy, and I think that she's a terrific person. So I wish them a lot of luck.
On a serious note, Mr. President,
You heard it here first. Trump thinks Taylor Swift is a great person.
removing visas of Chinese students. Yesterday, you said you wanted to allow 600,000 Chinese students to study in the United States. Could you and the Secretary clarify what is the policy on Chinese students in the United States?
Well, we think we're getting along very well with China. And I'm getting along very well with President Xi. I think it's very insulting to say students can't come here, because they'll go out, they'll start building schools, and they'll be able to.
It's insulting to say Chinese students can't come here, but he said
other country
that.
students come here, and you know what would happen if they didn't? Our college system would go to hell very quickly.
He was the one sending
and it wouldn't
people
be the top
back to
colleges.
their
It would be
countries.
colleges that struggle on the bottom. And you take out 300,000 or 600,000 students out of the system. I like having, and I told this to President Xi, that we're honored to have their students here. Now, with that, we check and we're careful and we see who's there, and Marco wants that. We're in the same position. But we have a tremendous college system, the best in the world, nobody even close. That's why China sends them here. And you can call it an industry if you want, but you're talking about millions of people. And I'm honored to have the students from China come here, and we're just getting along very well with China. And it's a different relationship than we had for years, where they took hundreds of billions of dollars, just sucked it right out of our country. They respect us again. I respect them. The relationship is very good. I think it's important that way. These are two very major powers, nuclear powers at that, but two very
China
important
respects
powers.
us again,
You know, when I
guys.
get along with Putin, when I get along with President Xi, when I get along with these people, that's a good thing, not a bad thing. We're tough and we're smart and we're strong. We get along. It's a lot better than not getting along. You had somebody in here before. The
That's
war should
true.
have never started with Ukraine and Russia. It would have never started. And Putin said that himself. President Putin said that himself.
Putin did
So,
just recently say that.
we want to see
He never
college
said it
students come
before,
in
but he
from
did just
countries.
recently
There are
say it
some
while he was
countries
sitting
that
next to Trump.
We can't necessarily say that. These are places that have ideologies that we can't live with. So there are some areas, some countries that we can't say that. But we're honored to have the students come here. Please. Yeah, please.
Yesterday you said that within 2 to 3
pretty good conclusive end to the war in Gaza. What did you mean by that? And could you tell us
On what?
in
The war in Gaza,
Yeah,
she's
what about
asking
it?
about.
You said in 2 to 3 weeks we would have a conclusive and a pretty good conclusive.
There's no conclusive. It's been going on for a long time. You're talking about, I guess if you really add it up, Steve, you're talking about thousands of years, okay? It's been going on for,
Someone
there's
got an
nothing
ad on the
conclusive,
live
but
feed.
hopefully we're gonna have things
Maybe I'll make 2
solved
cents.
very quickly with regard to Gaza and also with regard to Ukraine and Russia.
Mr. President, who are you considering for the replacement to nominate for Lisa Cook, and what economic background or history are you?
Well, we have some very good people for that position, and I think we have some very good people. We're down to, I mean, I think I maybe in my own mind have somebody that I like, but I deal with Scott and I deal with Howard, and we're dealing with a lot of people actually that are going to be involved in that decision ultimately. It's a very important decision. As we see, I mean, I got a bad recommendation when I went with Jerome Too Late, you know, it's just, he's too late. His nickname is Too Late, costing us a lot of money, hurting the housing. I mean, our housing industry is good, but it could be phenomenal. Most of this country, in terms, economic terms, has been phenomenal. We've never seen anything like it. Because of him and his high interest rates, the housing is less than it could be. We're going to get that straightened out very quickly. He gets out very quickly, fortunately. He's been the wrong guy. Not a bad person, I don't think, but you know, I do.
Do you think Jerome Powell's been doing a bad job? I gotta say, I don't really know.
But
obviously Trump hates the job he's doing just because he's not lowering rates, but they haven't reached the flat 2% that they've been trying to get to, and things aren't getting out of control one way or the other. I feel like
in one position.
The Fed has kind of successfully been wrangling in a soft landing, which everyone said was like impossible.
Pick somebody else, but we're very happy with the person we have in there, and we'll have a majority very shortly. So that'll be great. Once we have a majority, housing is going to swing, and it's going to be great. People are paying too high an interest rate. That's the only problem with housing. We have to.
That is not the only problem with housing, just so that we're all on the same page here. The biggest problem with housing is that billionaires are buying all the houses.
It sort of blows through the fact that we have a man who's too late and not doing a very good job. Please, in blue.
Mr. President, regarding crime in D.C., something that might help especially ladies is being able to carry. I know you talked about reciprocal carry. Would you like for that to apply here in Washington, D.C.?
When you say carry, I assume you're talking about carry what we're talking about, right? In other words, carry a gun. Is that right? Would you like to carry a gun?
I would like to, yes, sir.
You'd feel a hell of a lot better, right?
I absolutely.
I agree with you 100%, okay?
Okay, great.
But I'll tell you, within another couple of weeks, it's hard to believe what's been accomplished in 12 days, but within another couple of weeks, you won't have to carry. You're not gonna have to carry. You're gonna be safe. People are safe now. The turn has gone fast. I knew it was going to go fast, but this turn has gone really fast. And
the military
within a month
speeds
or
things
two,
up
this
pretty
is going to
good.
be one of the safest places in the country. I have no doubt about it. And we'll do an extension. We'll work with Congress, or I could declare an emergency, but I don't think that's going to be necessary. We'll work with Congress. We're going to be working with Congress. I spoke with our great speaker, and I will be speaking to John Thune. And we're getting tremendous support from Congress, especially maybe here. Everybody wants to see our capital be great. Could say be great again. You know, it's such a beautiful place, but if you have crime, nothing looks beautiful. So, but you won't need to carry a gun, but if you do,
well, I would like
people are being mugged.
And she wants a gun anyway.
Brilliant associate here.
That maybe other officials can weigh in too. And on crime, Iris shared her story, and you mentioned, you know, about people going to dinner.
That was a terrible story. I'm just amazed she's here. When the gun is, Pam, when the gun is put to the head, did they ever capture these people, by the way?
I kept calling, but I haven't heard back about this.
It'd be really great if you could maybe buy him, actually. And he made a mistake, or factors happened where something like this could have taken place. In the meantime, his board was staying by him. And I said to him, and took about, I would say, less than 45 seconds. I said, you know what you should do if you're smart? Give the United States of America 10% of your company. And he looked at me and he said, I'll do that. I said, I just made $11 billion for the United States. And we made the deal. I didn't pay, we didn't write a check. Now,
what's the benefit of that?
Biden, with his stupid CHIPS Act, handed money to all these people that didn't need any money. It didn't do anything. You know, they're giving billions of dollars to everybody. They all have so much money, and they have more money. But there's no commitment that you had to build. They just took all this money. I don't know, it's the stupidest thing I've ever seen. See, with tariffs, they have to come in, because if they don't come in, they can't sell into our country. So it's power, and you don't have to give up any money. But I said to him very simply, I mean, I'm glad we're straightening this out, because everyone thinks I bought in. No, I said, it would be great, we'd be a great partner for you. And I want to see Intel do well.
That's not what I'm talking about.
You know, Intel was a great company.
AI
and,
fails
it can be a great company again. But I said, I think it would be good if we own 10% of your company. He said, I'll make that deal. And it happens to be worth $11 billion. So we made $11 billion for the country. And then I was criticized by some of the fake news media. That's not the American way. Actually, it is the American way. Now, if I can help other countries or do those deals with it, I would do that. I think it's great. It's good. Builds up our balance sheet. Let me tell you, our country is becoming very rich again. You don't see it. When the CBO came out on Friday and said, we just found $4 trillion, and that goes to reduce our deficit, $4 trillion, and it was from the tariffs. Our country is becoming very, very rich again. I hope you get used to it. You know, you're gonna have to get used to it.
Reducing the deficit. Any update on your previous talking about potentially giving Americans a tariff rebate check?
Well, we have a lot of money coming in, rebate check for the Americans, and it's coming in at tremendous numbers. Don't forget, I would say, Scott, we probably are talking about right now 50%, maybe even less than that. With all the money you're hearing is coming in, you're talking about, you know, a lot of it hasn't kicked in yet. And when it really kicks in is in 2 years when these plants are built and opened and the money starts pouring in, right? But, I mean, there's a concept of making you could call it a dividend, as we would say, making a dividend to the people in this country who have had to suffer through stupid leadership. And they paid a lot of taxes and they got nothing for it. Or they got attacked like you were, okay, for it. No, there's a possibility. Primarily we want to pay down debt, but there's a possibility that we take a piece of it and pay some, make a dividend to the people.
I have a question for Steve Witkoff, if I may.
Yeah.
This past weekend, Sergei Lavrov was saying that Putin will not sign a peace deal with Zelensky because Russia views him as illegitimate. I'm just wondering if the Russians had been relaying this to your team.
Right, so it makes it makes
Zelensky,
Intel stock a sound investment.
They've
got a government contract, or the government owns them.
Steve can answer, but I can answer too. Doesn't matter what they say. Everybody's posturing. It's all bullshit, okay? Everybody's posturing. Steve, do you have a different answer?
I agree with you, sir.
There are 500 people short on the police department, police. In New York City, it's 3,000. In Chicago, it's 1,300. Would they have had to bring in troops from the National Guard if the police departments in this country were fully staffed? Defund the police. How bad did that turn out for America?
It's an interesting question. I was surprised when I heard how many police were here. It's not a really big area. And I think they said they're down to 3,200 police or something like that. I said, that's a lot of police.
Yeah.
And I was a little bit surprised because to me, that's a big force. And it's not a big area.
Were they just not doing anything?
It is what it is. There's a lot of crime. Resistances or nonviolent resistances. He's a bad politician. It's amazing. I mean, if he didn't have the money, he wouldn't get any votes because there's no compelling reason to vote for him. The guy's a major loser. But it would be nice if he would call me. I would change my mind immediately. He said, you know, because everybody knows Chicago is a hellhole right now. Everybody knows. It's not like he's saying.
I haven't been to Chicago. If you're there, if you're in Chicago, tell me if it's a hellhole.
100 people are going to be murdered. It's going to be much more than that. So
I haven't been to
Much
Chicago
more respect for Pritzker if he
in a
called me up and
decade.
said, I have a problem. Can you help me fix it? I would be so happy to do it. I don't love not that I don't have the right to do anything I want to do. I'm the president of the United States. If I think our country's in danger, and it is in danger.
He doesn't have the right to do anything
I
he
can
wants
do
to
it.
do. To be clear, that's not
no
that's
problem
not
going
a
in and
privilege of the
solving,
president of the United States.
his difficulties. But it would be nice if they'd call and they'd say, would you do it? And we do it in conjunction. Now, we work very well with the police because we naturally get along with
To
the
be
police.
clear, the
So
president is
police
supposed to
and
do
us
what
work
we
really
want him
well
to do.
together, whether the mayor
Not
is
what he
opposed
wants
or
to
whether,
do.
I mean, you have a really rotten mayor there too. He's got a 6% approval rating in Chicago. And I see black women wearing a red MAGA hat last night on television. Please let the president come in. My son was attacked. You have a force of black women. They're like
God.
only Trump.
I'm gonna have to
They
add
want
black
Trump to come
women
in.
to the
And you see
quotes
them,
for
they're
my
all over the
drinking
place
game.
in Chicago because they're afraid to go out and they don't
We'd be
want their
wasted.
son or their daughter killed, just like your parents didn't want you killed. And we have a tremendous look. It's not about winning elections because we want to have nice, fair elections. It's not politics. We want to see a safe country. You have people that want to see a safe country, and they're great people. You have great people in Chicago. The mayor is at 6% approval. He's an incompetent man. He should have never been put in a position like that. He can't handle it. You have an incompetent governor there. You have an incompetent governor in California, Gavin. I know him very well. He's incompetent. He's a nice guy, looks good. Hi, everybody. How you doing? He's got some strange hand action going. I don't know what the hell his problem is. It's a little weird, to be honest.
Gavin
A little
Newsom has
something
some
shaky
strange
going on
hand
there.
action.
But all he has to do is call me and say, we have the Olympics coming up. We want to make it really good and safe. And I'll put some really good, great American patriots in there, and you won't have any problems. Don't forget, it's loaded up with some stone cold killers, some really bad people, some people that were just born to be bad. They're criminals, bad criminals, dangerous. And we can solve the problem for them very quickly. Very quickly. Okay, you know what I think? I think this. You have not had this happen for 4 years. You sat and you'd ask one question to Biden, and it was always the ice cream question, right? What flavor ice cream do you like best? I like vanilla. And that was the end of the conference. I think now we've done enough. These people are very busy.
You know, he's
I wanna
not
just
totally
thank- this
wrong,
is the
although there were
greatest-
more questions than
this
just
has
what's
never
your
been
favorite
done
ice
before.
cream. But
First of all, a cabinet meeting was sacred. You'd never let the fake news media in. But the fake news media isn't all fake. It's, a lot of it is, but it's not all. I think it's a great thing. I think it's.
If
maybe
you're
it's gonna
watching
be done in the
me, you're
future. I
watching
hope
the
it's
not
gonna be
fake
done.
news.
But you really get the word out. I mean, we had each one of these people spoke. I think each one. If I thought one of them did badly, I would call that person out. I would say, Christy, what the heck?
And
are
it's
you
true.
doing?"
I don't think they live streamed the cabinet meetings.
No, but no, seriously, you have a very
wonder.
talented group of people. They get along, they work along together, and there's something really nice about just the openness of what we're doing. It's government. It's an open government. That's what we are, and we haven't made too many mistakes. Maybe we'll.
No,
But we
I'm
haven't
wrong.
made too many
I'm
mistakes.
wrong.
We've called it right.
Biden was live streaming
And,
cabinet
I think
meetings.
you can be very proud of your country. We are a respected country again. We are really, right now, respected at the highest level, and we're doing great. And we're
Boy,
a
I
very
pulled
rich
one up,
country
and he
again.
just doesn't.
Very
He does
rich.
not look that great.
And that's a good thing, because when we're rich, we can take care of poor. And that's what we're doing. And we're taking care of crime. And I hope, just in finishing, I hope that Illinois, I hope that New York, I hope that California, I hope they call me and they say, I'd love to have you come in
He
and
was
help us
not
out.
not looking
I will
great
be
there.
a totally different person
Towards
with
the
them.
end.
I will respect them for doing it. Thank you all very much. Thank you,
Okay.
everybody.
Well, I'll be honest. When I started this, I didn't know it was going to be damn near 2.5 hours. I'm sorry if I'm sorry I had to skip a couple things, but what are we're supposed to do this all day? You don't want to watch all day. I don't want to watch all day. We didn't watch all day. I made an executive decision. But thank you for joining the live. Thank you for giving a shit. Thank you, everybody. I will see you later. Have a great rest.